What is going on, everybody? How are we doing this wonderful and fine evening? Oof, we have got a good one in front of us. And honestly, if you are here, there's no way to open it up other than to say, no question about it, I'm ready to be heard again. Because we've got a game to go through, that's for sure. And it is Akusai. I feel like we all are, right? We're not here late at night watching the Bears play the Packers a second time because we're ready for a fun evening. Well, it is going to be fun. I mean, I think all of these are fun and we tend to make them fun, but it's pretty macabre, all things told. Mr. Myrtle, we definitely aren't. Like, we need to talk about a lot of the things that happened in the second half, but I can spare you the pain and tell you that we're going to be watching. We're mostly going to be focusing on the offense. I mean, I feel like that's a normal thing we do on this channel, but one thing that's gotten really bizarre about this team is that I can tell you about Roquan Smith, right? I could tell you that I think Eddie Jackson is playing generally good football. I mean, I thought he played a stronger last couple of games than he did this one. A lot of that is due to the fact that the Packers were able to neutralize him. One guy can only do so much when you've got Xavier Crawford out there. But the point being that as far as defensive scheme, I mean, Matt Nagy is going to be fired. I saw Derek said in the chat earlier, like, when is Chris Tabor going to take over? That's a good question. There's a decent chance that the Bears may not go with the in-season firing route, which would honestly be a bummer, if for no other reason than we won't get any sense of closure, right? But the other side of it is that with almost assured head coaching changes coming, that means that there's almost assured defensive scheme changes coming and defensive personnel changes that'll come with it. So as I find myself looking down the barrel of going through the defense, like, I could tell you that Akusa, that's funny. I like that. But I can tell you that, like, we could, and yes, I'm going to tell you that the Bears defense played bad and that the Packers offense is really good. If for no other reason, we could talk through the Packers. I hate the fact that I have to give that X away on RPO bingo for Packers envy. But if you want to talk about offensive schemery, like, the Packers do a great job of drawing up things. The defenses just really, really struggle the defenses are really struggling to adapt to what the Packers are doing on offense. And man, oh man, like, it's pretty awesome if you like offense. But as far as liking offense, you're not going to like it today because it's against the poor Bears defense that, I swear, by the mid-second half, they really couldn't stop just about anything. Packers are picking up chunk plays on 8 yards, 9 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, 35 yards. I mean, for crying out loud, how in the world do you talk about, like, how do you put into words? And Bryce, I mean, you can slander Desai. It's not like I'm not going to let you. You know what I mean? I will tell you that I feel for the guy. Like, I really do. I mean, in my personal opinion, the hardest part about what Sean Desai has going on for him is the fact that he's got generally not phenomenal talent at most of the important positions of the defense. The guys that he was counting on, like Akeem Hicks, are obviously hurt. Thank you so much, Mike Mortz. You're excited to see you here, Mike. Thanks so much for showing up to the breakdown. But so I mean, I don't think that there's any, let's see. Yeah, I mean, Derek, I think that there's truth to that, especially because when he did have a healthy defense in front of him, they were actually pretty good. I mean, a lot of better. Or I would tell you with a straight face that I think that the defense played way above their board in the early parts of the year. Now, was it smoke and mirrors that kind of got solved? To a degree, but part of it was also massive personnel flaws. I can't believe we kind of just switched to this. So obviously we're going to be covering this later in the show, right? We're going to talk more special teams than we normally do, because instead of talking about Pat O'Donnell, it felt like just about every single time the Bears touched the ball in the early goings, they got everything they wanted. And honestly, this play right here is a great example. There are a couple of them, and they have popped up throughout the season where you've seen Jakeem Grant's mobility and how it is hard to find players with his skill set, especially given how, let's call it ho-hum, the Bears receivers have generally looked. But Jakeem's ability after the catch is phenomenal because 19's doing his job, 44 is fine here, 51, 84, they're a little too far away from the play, but 46, 42, and actually it might be 44 here, kind of all get caught doing the same thing, where Grant's going to catch this ball, he's going to shift hard over to his right, he's got now 3 guys in pursuit of him with pretty much free shots at him, stops hard, pulls straight out the other way, and just rips on down the sidelines. You know what, Mr. Myrtle? We're sure going to try to answer the why. You know what I mean? And I'm with you, Kusai. I would actually tell you, instead of just budget Tariq Cohen, he's a wide receiver version of Tariq Cohen, and they're easier to find, right? It shouldn't be too tough to find a Jakeem Grant that you can plug into your offense, but the Bears had to trade a 6th-round pick for one, and we're just going to be okay with that, right? But, what are the whys? Exactly. But so it's bananas watching what Grant was able to do with this, because by the time that he personally, once he hits this stop, he jets over to his right, and he's going to basically beat 1, 2, 3 guys with just his feet alone. And from there, it's just, I don't want to say all she wrote, you know what I mean? But at that point, he's got so many numbers down this sidelines. Credit to 8. He does a good job, Damian Williams, of lacing a block on the punter. He actually understands where he's supposed to be, right? Because once Damian Williams sees that he's coming up the sidelines, he knows that he's got to stop and pick up somebody who's going to be coming from the side. He just hasn't found the target yet. Gets in the way, sets up a nice little block. 23 does a good job, and Jakeem burns it on down the sidelines. Like you're saying, Jordan, it's not that I feel like I misspeak a lot to open the show. It's not as if the Jakeem Grants are common. Obviously, they're not near as common as, say, Damiere Byrd, for instance. But looking at the way that he breaks down and can change direction, it's fun to watch him. And I feel like a guy like that truly is somebody that you can give your quarterback a bit of a break and just hand the ball to Jakeem and say, do something with it and find something. Now, what really blew my mind, and the reason that I wanted to open with this, especially as we let people kind of filter in before we get to the offense, is that there were some plays that, especially down the stretch, you look at this Bears defense and you're shocked that they allowed, right? This drive, if memory serves, the Packers are, and if I've got it right, the Packers are setting up to go try and score. The score is 24-13. So it is 24-13, right? Hang on just a second. Let's see, punt touchdown, 24-14. Okay, close enough. But the point is that the Packers are down 2 scores, and they're looking for some points at the end of the half. And so the Bears defense, pretty much within 2 minutes, just has to not allow the they just have to not allow a score. Even if you allow a field goal, you'll live with it. But they just have to not allow a score. And they start out by giving up the freebie yardage. I feel like that's what everybody does in these scenarios. You're just trying to bleed that clock down, so on and so forth. Yeah, I know, Cassie, but we got it. And you better expect some cheeseheads, because we've got enough that visit the channel. They've been amicable so far, but we're probably going to see a little bit... there's probably going to see a little bit of Go Pack Go in the chat tonight, but you get how it goes. The wild part was how the Bears defense, they were content to give these up, which I get. They had started to get torched down the stretch of this game. It felt like the Packers could run and get just about anything. They could throw and get just about anything. I mean, credit to what was going on with the Packers offense, because they did a lot of things right. But it's shocking to me. What's going on, Draco? How you doing? It's shocking to me that they allowed some of the things that they allowed, because they're sitting in a basic 2-high shell, kind of a Tampa setup. I mean, look at this. I mean, it's simplistic, right? But so Roquan is fading backwards at the snap with 38 Gibson sitting right here at the line. Eddie Jackson looking like he's walking back into his spot. And so I don't know whether it was an audible or what, but Aaron Rodgers is just going to sneak Lazard here into this space in the defense and just take the free yards. Like, the Packers make offense look so unthinkably easy because as Gibson rotates out into, it's not exactly a Tampa 2 defense, but it kind of simulates one. They're going to take that shallow right over the middle of the field so quickly. I mean, you can see Lazard even looking for it immediately off the snap. It's free yardage and they act like it, right? It's not as if Roquan or the Bears are necessarily doing anything wrong, but you could even see them kind of communicate right here. It wouldn't surprise me if this is a direct audible of them just saying, "Hey, look at that. I'm just going to give you the ball." Like, and they do. It's easy. I mean, it's basically a free first down that Allen Lazard is looking for, and I'm not about to tell you that Allen Lazard is some unbelievable like receiver, you know? It's not as if he's wildly heady. Credit to Rodgers, credit to LaFleur. They're just coordinating something really in Green Bay, which makes me seethe. and I hear you, Case. Like, I'm with you. When it comes to wide receivers, every time I say something like that, I feel like I always sound like I'm underrating the player. Me, personally, I think Lazard's a really solid wide receiver 3. He can block pretty decently. He runs solid routes. Like, when you load him with talent around him, I would probably take a Lazard, for instance, over a Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's just me. But what I'm trying to really point out is that it's not as if Allen Lazard burnt Roquan Smith or something like that. They're just eating up that free yardage. They're taking what's given to them, and I think that's perfectly fine. But so at this point, this might be the play that I'm looking at. Oh, it is. It's wild to me that this happened. Like, absolutely wild to me. What's going on, totally, dude? We will talk about that. But so what's crazy to me is that here in a 2-minute situation, the Bears are giving up everything underneath. Like, we've seen that, right? Slowly advancing down the field. Here, take 5 yards. Here, take 10 yards. Here, take 5 yards. Here, take 8 yards. We don't, like, there's 48 seconds left on the clock. 0.48. And then what do they allow? They allow a deep shot right down the field to Davante Adams. Are you kidding me? And I get it. Like, part of it is that they put of Adams in the slot. They got the matchup they wanted with Xavier Crawford right here, and the Bears did not take that well. But there's something to the idea of, if you really wanted to kill Desai, it is bananas to me that there aren't people just always watching Adams. Like, I'll critique Eddie Jackson a little bit. I am really surprised that he's watching Rodgers instead of watching Adams, because he ends up, I would say, a little behind the play. Obviously, he smokes Crawford on this instead of getting to the ball. But this is one of those moments where, yes, I get it. He's really rotating into more of like a center field role. At least that's what his positioning tells me. But it surprises me, to say the least, that the Bears give up a 40-yard touchdown pass in the late 2-minute quarter period. Like, that is a bad defense move. I don't think you need a genius analyst or special insight to tell you that it's not the mark of a good defense. Honestly, it's not even the mark of a defense that is aware of what's going on to give up a play like this in that kind of situation. As far as situational football goes, it just doesn't work. And hey, yes, 100%. Like, Xavier Crawford just gets destroyed. Like, watch Davante Adams break this poor soul down. Like, hits the out and up, and he's got so much separation that I wouldn't call it an underthrown ball. Like, Rodgers puts the ball into the hole. It's a really pretty throw. But, like, look at the separation that he gets, and just imagine if the Bears could generate this in any setting. Like, that's a good 2 yards right there. Is it blown open? No, but obviously it's really good. And not to mention, they've got a post route coming inside that makes the safety have to go over the top, so Eddie can't even cut straight to him. Like, ooh, this one is tough. And Rodgers fits the ball into the honey hole. Touchdown. Would I like Eddie to make a better break on it? I feel like it's tough. Like, I talk about this from a safety perspective all the time, because by the time he eyes up where Adams is going, he sees Adams going straight forward, and then immediately he just hits this. Eddie's coming here, which is where Davante is going. stops, cuts inside, pretty much exactly like the Jamar Chase one, or the Jamar Chase play, but a little bit less vicious of a cut inside. I would definitely want Eddie to tackle this. Like I would call this a missed tackle personally. This is not a great play by Eddie Jackson, and this is the kind of moment that I would tell you, like, you want to see more out of your $15 million safety. We do a lot of Eddie defending here. We can criticize him. He can take it. But this is one of those where it's just, this is rough. I agree with you, Case. I think Jalen does a good job covering the post. I also think MVS is just taking him off the line, so it's not as if it's particularly hard to cover, but there you go. This is a really rough game. I mean, like, we could talk about a whole bunch of different things on the defense. You guys mentioned no pressure. You're absolutely right. I mean, the Bears have gotten, we can call it out now, right? Bilal Nichols, Angelo Blackson wasn't brought in to rush the passer, but we can mention him too here. Like, the Bears have gotten next to nothing when it comes to interior pressure. They pretty much either get Robert Quinn off the edge, they get Tashawn Gibson off the edge, or they or they give up a long one. And in this case, oof. But so, like, settling down a bit, it's always wild watching this where, yes, Desai goes with a stunt. No, the stunt does not work. Like, Nichols and the rest of the Bears defensive line get basically no pressure off of, looks like a double stunt, honestly. And there's a point where, dadgummit, I did it again. Thank you, Akusai. Yeah, Tashawn Gibson, or Trevis Gibson. Man, wow. Ooh. Can you tell I'm sick right now? But we're going through it. Another flu game. But yeah, this is one of those that I look at, and it's a bad play. It's a bad play on a lot of fronts. And exactly like you're saying, Jordan, as far as the $15 million safety coverage ace, you want Eddie Jackson to get these. You want him to have that extra range, to not give that up, because that's not something that, look, I don't want to necessarily say, in case, I think that you can say that while it is a bad tackle, that you want Eddie to get there. Like, I am not a perfect safety understander. I do think that in that setting, when you see Devontae Adams on Xavier Crawford, that it might change the calculus a little bit. That's where my head's at. I'm not a coach. I really want to stray from giving opinions that are just not well thought out, but that at the very least is what would be on my mind. But I don't know. I mean, other people probably know more. Like somebody said, I think Sean from the Go, that Eddie could come under control faster and make a break on the ball a little bit sooner. But so anyways, pressure for the Bears has been a real problem. I mean, it's been Robert Quinn or it's been nobody, with the occasional pressure from Trevis Gibson. But you compare this to 2018 where Eddie Goldman, Akeem Hicks, et cetera, were just coming hard on the inside. And you can honestly even say, like, Mario Edwards, we haven't seen him flash at all since about week 3, something like that. Bryce, it's hard for me to tell. My guess would be the Bilal Nichols, because you asked, like, what happened to Bilal. I think he tried to be a little bit too much of everything. This is just my 2 cents, where he tried to take his natural quickness and add some strength to it and ended up slowing down just a little bit. And exactly like you're saying, Akusai, I mean, when 98 was asked to be a starter instead of a role player with no expectations, we start to look at him differently. Imagine, for instance, if Kairos Tonga never gets any better, right? Yes, he's a 7th round pick. He's still a hit. Just like Bilal Nichols. Honestly, role player, rotational defensive lineman, that's not bad. Like, that's a win from a 5th round pick perspective. But if Kairos Tonga never gets any better and suddenly becomes your starting inside 3-4 nose tackle, you're probably not going to be quite as excited about him. I mean, he's not as sparkly as, say, an Eddie Goldman, and you see it more when he's on a play-to-play basis. But the Bears' ability to generate pressure has just destroyed them against more than one Packers game, to say the least. But a play like this cannot happen. Like, ooh, cannot happen. And Jordan, are you talking Earl Thomas? Whew, that's a good safety. But so, which, hey, that's a good comparison because Eddie's paid to be in that class. Everybody makes mistakes. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, as we go through this game, not only is the Like, not only, yes, Sean, 100%. Not only are you going to see the offensive line struggle, don't watch Allen Robinson. I mean, oof, in my opinion. Like, A-Rob doesn't look like what he used to, which hurts. I mean, he was supposed to be a safety blanket receiver for Justin Fields, and I don't know where the guy who just shredded man coverage on a snap-to-snap basis went. Maybe it's as simple as he's playing unmotivated, but I don't necessarily think that that's an acceptable rationale. I mean, he is being paid $17 million, and it's not a good look in any setting ever to be paid that much money and not produce at a high level, or at least give that effort. But I hate breaking out the effort word because I don't want to be the effort police. So we'll just get there when we get there. Either way, this was like, you saw more. It felt like every single ball that that they touched. Yeah, no, I hear you, Bryce. It felt like every single ball that the Bears kick returner touched in the start of the game was blessed, because you get a nice little block from Cole Kmet here. Hey, that's kind of neat. But Khalil Herbert cracks off a 40-yard return. He had 2 of them. Derek A-Rob probably does miss Trubisky, who just force-fed him. You can tell, honestly, I hate being this guy. I think that's A-Rob down there. I don't even know if A-Rob's on the field, which is wild, because he started. No, that's him. You can almost tell that A-Rob misses the fact that he could expect the ball to come his way, and now he doesn't, which feels like he just sort of mails it in. Like, as if on the snaps where he's not the primary target, he's upset. And yes, Akusai, of course it's curls. Now that one thing I'm trying to figure out, friends and fans, as we dive into all these streams, is how to structure these things. And so we'll probably dive into the main program here, going through some offense. Atheists for their cause. I'm going to tell you right now, also everybody in the chat, oh my word, I love Kenny Clark. The more Packers tape I watch, the more I love number 97. Like, I don't necessarily have examples immediately. We will get there. You will see plenty of them. Kenny Clark is a monster. Having IDL like him is insane. And wow. It is just so fun. John, I wish you got the chance to not watch Jenkins, but we don't. You're going to get to. But it's wild watching Kenny Clark, who's 29. 29 pops off the tape. I thought Rashawn Gary, for as much as Bears fans dunked on him to start, like, a couple of years ago, I feel like Rashawn Gary is coming along as a pass rusher. Maybe not like, you don't necessarily have to think he's incredible, but on this Packers defense, he's playing pretty well. There's a lot to like on this Packers defense, and holy moly, they just shredded the Bears. So let's get into it. We can talk about it. Let's go ahead. Yeah, no, one thing that hurts Khalid that you're going to see is the theme of the evening is predictability. Ability. It's not an every snap thing. It's more like if you just guess with the Bears, he's going to figure out something. Or like, if you guess with the Bears, wow, that didn't make any sense, did it? If you guess what the Bears are doing based on their formation, you're going to be right enough to where you just don't have to defend too many things. I mean, like, take a look at this. The Bears are in an empty set, obviously, right? And so, since they're in an empty set, they're going to pass. So what kind of routes do you think they're going to run, right? Like, think about it, what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to run their usual curl post with, like, maybe a fly on the back end? You think Allen Robinson over here is running a curl from the inside? Maybe he's breaking out? Like, what do you think they're going to do? Well, whatever you guessed, you're probably right-ish if you think that they were going to attack about the 6-yard line, because you're going to see Fields on this out route kind of look and hesitate. I mean, Fields did not have a phenomenal game, and I don't want to pretend he did. Like, I can't say this enough, that this is not the right game to defend and stand Fields. Yes, I think he was playing hurt. He talked about how his ribs, like, they hurt with every throw. From what I understand, and you guys in the chat, especially if anybody actually has broken ribs in the past, can talk about it. The people I know, the friends I know that have broken ribs, told me it's like living with excruciating pain. Every breath hurts. Every movement hurts. That you don't realize just how painful moving around is until you have those broken ribs. And so I'm not saying like give Fields a pass. I am saying we can acknowledge the situation and go from there. And like you're saying, Peyton, especially near the end of the game, he started letting the ball off higher than I would have expected. But like there's a lot there when you think about this, and it doesn't help that the Bears offensive line just got wrecked. I mean, let's take a look at, what is this, the first couple seconds? This is about the 2.5 second mark on a basic out route. Is it open? Sure should be, you know? And, but you look at this offensive line, and I don't think anybody would feel particularly comfortable with this. Like, exactly, Derek. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he had, unironically, a lot less feel of his body than usual, because I have to imagine that he was getting cortisone shots just to get through it. Like, that's what I've heard, Jordan. Like, bruised ribs, broken ribs, that it's, yeah, Sean, it's wild. Just looking at how intense, like, when you listen to stuff about pain management, blah blah blah, I'm getting off track. But so this is what the pocket looks like at about the 2 second mark, and it's bad. So when the throw comes out and it's wide, do you blame him? Yes, because it's a bad throw. Quarterbacks have to own that. But this offensive line, they got bullied. On this specific play, I think we're looking at an in-out stunt. So 97 is going to go over there with 94 cutting inside. And watch the way they just annihilate Mustipher at one point. Like, bang, 94 is going to hit Mustipher and just steamroll right through him, with Daniels trying to get his hands inside, but his feet are already gone. Like, he's done. With Borum trying to get control of Kenny Clark, who just says, nah, I'm going to light up your quarterback. And immediately, play number 1, 30 seconds into the football game, the guy with bruised ribs takes a shot straight to the ribs and goes down to the ground on a freaking out route. Like, the Bears were so rough on offense. And yikes. I mean, then, of course, they try to basically take him out of the play, which, why the Bears couldn't let their primary quarterback hand the ball off beats me. Like, why do they need to do all this Wildcat stuff? I think they were trying to just give Fields a break, maybe, but that's about as nice as I'm going to be. Like, I mean, exactly, Peyton, exactly. Like, the key to me is, like, well, Peyton, to be fair, in the NHL, you don't even know that the broken / bruised ribs are a thing until the end of the season, when they say, I had broken ribs all, like, the whole season. What are you talking about? I just didn't tell you. The NHL is weird. You find out guys had, like, broken bones in their ankle that they just played through, which, wild. But, yeah, rough day with the offense. Absolutely, Mike. I mean, look, this was, without a doubt, the game where this was without a doubt the game that you look at and you say, hey, it's neat that Fields got a stat adjustment. You know what I mean? But like, he got a 46-yard pass that he didn't necessarily earn, and he got a 60-yard touchdown pass that he didn't necessarily earn. And that's neat, because Fields has had it the hard way all season long. But the Bears line up in the Wildcat. This actually isn't even all that bad a play when you look at result. Mustipher does not do a great job handling it, but what are you gonna do, right? Like, Mustipher, just all he's got to do is get to the second level and block the linebacker, and there he is, and there he is, like, gone. Look, I would love to see the center change. Like, it's not even Mustipher's, like, fault. I mean, he's quick-footed. He can get to the second level. It just doesn't feel like he's got the technique to sustain almost any block. And Whitehair's playing badly. Like, I wouldn't tell you that Daniels is playing maybe the Bears' best offensive lineman overall, but it's wild watching Mustipher, because it's as if his feet are good enough to get in the way sometimes, but now that teams are just starting to bully him physically, he's losing a lot of snaps. But so then we move on to the next snap. Fields is going to break out. This is actually a really nice read. I mean, when you want to look at development points for Justin Fields, this is what I would tell you for this game in particular. Fields' pocket management and his decision-making and ability to use his legs is getting really nice. Hang on. I'm going to quickly respond to something. Allison's out of town. So got to respond to her about some of the stuff that we got going on. But so anyways, because wife comes first. Absolutely. But it also means we don't have to go into the Bears whisper mode this time. You better believe it. We can stay full volume the entire show. Put that on a banner. But so anyways, getting back to it, the neat thing about this play, let me see, it is the same play, right? Oh, yeah. So first of all, I got to point out, this is absolutely gorgeous coverage by the Packers. And yes, Mike, decision-making was fine. Like, I don't want to act like Fields is making phenomenal decisions, right? That's not the purpose of this. And we'll go through a lot of the things, some of the things that he needs to see, some of the things that he didn't need to see, etc., etc. But one thing, like, you see the flashes of the quarterback that he might be if the team around him kind of rises to the occasion and also he puts it together. Bob, we will go over it, don't you worry, because we haven't even seen Jenkins start playing yet. But the Bears are going to basically run like a curl, because why wouldn't they, and a post, and check out the one-on-one coverage on against these three guys right here. So it's going to be these three Packers defenders. Watch the way they move. They interpret the route structure. Covered. Gorgeous man coverage with Kmet covered too. So you're hoping that Kmet might get open. You're hoping that Mooney might get open on the back end, or at least Mooney would open up Allen Robinson. But Fields, seeing the pocket, let's just say it all moves sideways, recognizes man coverage, and that what man coverage means is that the run lane is open. Like 100% of like one of the best ways to run the ball as a quarterback is to recognize man coverage, because when you've got man coverage, he's tied to him, he's tied to him, he's tied to him, he's tied to him, he's tied to him. Really, the only person that you're like racing with is this linebacker, and you could beat him in a foot race. Like, and so he does. He just takes off. He goes and gets the first down, slides down, gives it the old Claypool point, and moves on, which, by the way, that was a fiasco, huh? That Chase Claypool stuff. But so Plum Nums, it's interesting. I think Andy might try to extend the play a little bit, but one spot that you're going to see this a little bit from Kmet, all those people that are like, dunk! And you know me, I really try to fence sit with Kmet because I see the value in a big body that can go find a hole in a zone, and Kmet's done that really well. But all the people that, again, want to dunk on Kmet for not necessarily getting open, they did not have, they probably had a field day with this one, because they left Kmet in a lot of man coverage situations, and not all of them are what people think they were, but you would hope that your tight end might get a little bit more separation, though the primary target of this absolutely seems to be the Allen Robinson, who's just not open at all. And so Fields sees he's not open, says, I'm getting the heck out of there, and just takes off. So he does. He can win that foot race. Like Derek said, let's just go give it one more power of the freeze frame. Somebody asked about like what Andy Dalton did, and so, you know, we can stop pretending. Andy Dalton, the guy who broke 2 tackles last week, would have run down here, engaged the linebacker, shattered his shoulder, kept running, stiff-armed 29 when 29 comes over. And so, stiff-arm him, put him on the ground. Andy keeps running. The next safety comes over, says, probably makes a business decision, chooses career and family over making one play. And then Dalton just keeps running, probably gets in the end zone from there. And then he hits the the discount double check. He yells, "I freaking own you," and all of the like, and all the Packers fans boo for eternity. Like Andy Dalton would have probably won this game 150-0, depending on who you ask on Twitter. But yeah, like, it is funny to think about just the comparison of how things worked. And holy moly, it will never stop being funny that Andy Dalton just shattered 2 tackles last week. That was hilarious. But so at this point, Fields does a good job of, like somebody said, making something out of nothing. And I hear you, Jordan. I feel like the harshest thing for Fields in this game, and you'll obviously see him get punished for it later, is that Fields didn't have near the fastball he normally does. And on a game where the Packers were hunting underneath stuff, that was not helpful. So then we move on to this next play. I think, if memory serves, this one is phenomenal. Like, this is, I think, a post and a go combined with Mooney running like a deep, I don't remember what this route's called. Some call it like a Seattle route. It's basically like an anti. But so take a look at this. Mooney slips right behind the linebacker and gets open. Number 96 is going to light Fields up. But Fields is going to get the ball off anyways and stick the ball right in the hole. Woohoo, this is nice. Like, this is a really good throw. Like, just spade a spade, right? You do not want 96 to shred Cody Whitehair like this. He gets beat, I mean, immediately. Like, you're supposed to be able to cover your guy for 2.5 seconds, and I don't know if Whitehair made it through 1. So, bad. And Fields, with 96, bearing down on him, no pun intended, just flicks the ball out there anyways, and boom. He gets it there and generates like 18. This is, it's nuts. An Atheist, it's funny you say Whitehair doesn't get out of his stance. He tries to attack 96. It just doesn't work. Like, he completely misses the hand placement. I mean, fans on it. And oh my word, was it a bad time to do that. Because, what is this? It looks like Kmet does a decent job like picking, or it's a, what is it called? Oh my word. Oh my word. It's a chip. Cannot believe I forgot it. But, yeah, anyways, this is what happens when you deal with this too much. Thank you, Bunnery. But so, like, Kmet hits a chip assignment. Mustafer's losing, but at least he's losing slowly. It's Whitehair that's the problem on this one. Oh, my word. And the ceiling on this throw, like, take a look at the stance. There's nothing there. This is bravery. This is him taking another shot straight to the bruised ribs. Oh, my gosh. Just to start the game off. And, hey, the ball gets there. Like, is it right to the spot it needs to be? Not necessarily, but Mooney makes a nice play on it, pulls the ball in, Bears pick up about 15, 17 yards. Oh, man. That's a gorgeous throw. And I really, look, I can't say that affected him. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that for the rest of the game, I don't want to say Fields felt perturbed, which, by the way, you guys wanted to hear me talking about Kenny Clark. I posted this one on Twitter. You follow me at Robert K. Schmitz. You see it in the description. But watch Kenny Clark on this one. You're going to see Mustafer engage him, Daniels engage him, Borum engage him, and guess who's going to make the tackle? If you guessed Clark, you're correct. But check this out. Like, he takes on 2 right there. He's hit a knee. Montgomery makes the decision. I think I could squeeze out some yards here. And then from there, Clark stands up, throws away all of them. To be fair, Borum leaves, but he throws away Daniels. Mustafer peels off, and Clark makes the tackle for a gain of 1. It is wild. Like, wow. And watching him's insane. Thank you. Sorry. Whitehair. No, wait, are we sure? Let me see. Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's not Mustafer. Whitehair pulls over. Thank you. I just took a look at it, but man, this was a really nice play on his part. And I'm with you, MJ. I think that when Fields got hit, they tended to go to the Wildcat early on. The problem was that, man, Kenny Clark would just eat him alive on those inside runs. Holy smokes. And let's see. And yeah, Jordan, I mean, Fields has always been somewhat iffy on those mid to short, and there's definitely a little bit of Mooney's drops that have increased because, or like his drop percentage. It spiked to 9.8. You could say, like, of that 9%, that 6% is on Mooney with 3% of inaccuracy, but it's not like Mooney was getting dimes the year before. Like, he's had Trubisky, Foles, and, Trubisky, Foles, and now Fields, and also Dalton. He's dropped some gimmies too. I mean, I think part of it is also that he's getting targeted more. When you get targeted more, you tend to have to make contested catches, and that's not really Mooney's game. But you get the idea. I don't know. I hear his drop percentage, and I'm like, Mooney's definitely earned some of it. But a lot of it, like one that you see earlier, or one that you'll see later, it's definitely not Mooney's fault. But so from here, the Bears run it, because why wouldn't they? They get to second down. Here's now third down because they ran it twice in a row. And, oh boy, like, this is not a good rep. So, a lot of people criticize Fields' throw placement because, well, you know what? I'll just show the clip. So, they looked at Fields' throw placement and they said, you can't throw the ball there. 41's going to knock it away. And you know what? You'd be right. The trouble is that Fields didn't place it there. Like, if we take a look at this play again, watch Daniels, watch 96, and you'll see that this throw gets tipped at the line. I wish I had a slow motion, but you're going to see, based on the way that the ball's spinning, 96 just beats Daniels clean off the snap, gets a hand in, and right there you can see that the ball started to wobble really hard. It gets guffed just enough that I think it goes from a play right about there to obviously right on the hip. And hey, credit to 41. He makes a play, but this was definitely one of those where I look at it and it's like, oh, what a bummer. Like, the offensive line has got to do a better job of keeping, yes, it's a great move by 96 Draco. I mean, it really is. But Daniels has got to keep that throwing lane clean. You know where you're throwing this ball. You didn't design this play for anybody other than Kmet. It's a quick hitter for a first down. And so whether you want to criticize Kmet getting separation, I mean, he's got the inside lane. Like, it's not that tough as long as the throw is out, which it looks like that's the attempt just based on Fields' throwing arm and whatnot. It looks like it's headed in that direction, but it gets tipped. It fades backwards. 41 knocks the ball away, and everybody's just glad that it didn't get picked off. But yeah, that's the sort of thing that I wish was honestly explained in the broadcast a little bit better. Now, also, if you follow my channel at all, you know that I am a huge fan of going for it. Like, I am more than willing to live with the consequences of giving the ball away at the 40, especially when punting from the 40. What are you looking to gain, right? Like, yes, you want to win the field position battle, but you're sitting here with the ball on 4th and 7, so no, it's not easy necessarily, but man, oh man, I don't get why you're not going for this, especially against a Packers team that you know is going to hurt you. Now, like a bunch of people have said in the chat, this is obviously going to give you an inkling on what I think, right, about Matt Nagy's decision to not go for it on 4th and 1/4th and inches later in the game. But this was definitely one of those moments that I looked at very early on thinking, why in the world are we so not aggressive, for crying out loud? But yeah, not to mention Akusai, because you're talking about how it feels as if the Bears offensive line messes up at least once a play. You're absolutely right. I feel like the Bears offensive line plays like they don't trust each other. Maybe there's a degree of the high stand thing in there. I mean, Jordan, just to call it out, the 2019 offensive line, the 2020 offensive line, somebody always screwed up. They would describe it as they take turns screwing up, right? But it was like, it's not been good in general. But yeah, exactly, John. It's wild to me where I look at this and think, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm crazy, but I really would go for it almost every single time, like at the 45 and beyond, because what do you have to lose? Like, you've taken them out of scoring position. You can trust your defense to try and hold them. Hey, Jared, how you doing? Because at the end of the day, you have to score points to win the football game. And so 4th and 7 on a play where your offensive line screws something up, moving on, at the very least, you could try it. You could act like you want to win this game reasonably, because I guess I hate, just to give my analytical opinion, I can't stand it when coaches make the decision that they trust their defense when their defense isn't trustworthy. You need to have the self-awareness to make the best decision possible. To give an example, right? If I was the Packers, you can at least consider punting this because their defense is playing really good or really well right now. Honestly, Cassie, I would say the same with the Cowboys. 4th and 7 at the 40, especially against Chicago, right? If the roles were reversed, or in the Cowboys game against Washington, punt away. What are they going to do about it, right? But when you're playing Aaron Rodgers as a Bears defense that got lit up by Jimmy Garoppolo, that got lit up by Matt Stafford and the Rams, that got lit up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that already got pretty well lit up by Rodgers when they were like down, or when they were up 3 stars. Like, this is not the game, in my opinion, to play like to play field position, especially when Pat O'Donnell, who's been pretty good this season, doesn't get off the best punt in the world, right? O'Donnell's gonna place this right on into the end zone, bang, and so immediately it is a net gain of 20 yards. Instead of potentially getting 3 points on the board, trying to take a lead, you move the ball 20 yards, which I don't think helps. I really don't think that does anything, right? Yeah, maybe you're betting on your punter. Maybe you're really trying to pin him inside the 5. I get it. But I don't think that stuff works anymore, especially with with Rodgers' defense being Rodgers' offense being so consistent. You get the idea. Like, it's a miss on the punter's fault, which happens. Like, I wouldn't even call it necessarily Pat's fault, because punters aren't going to hit every single one of these. But exactly like you're saying, Jared, I feel like Nagy didn't call this game like he believed in his offense. He didn't call this game like he believed in his defense. Like, I feel like Nagy just called the game scared. We've talked about that lots on this channel, right? Exactly, John, if you do give up points, you got the whole game to come back. I'm also a huge believer in showing belief in your offense or your defense. Like, be aggressive. The John Harbaugh thing, like, we don't coach scared, I'm about it. You have to live and die by what you do as a team. And so, in my opinion, turning the ball over to Rodgers, and the Bears get away with it, right? Like, they stop them right here. They get a 5-yard stop, which is not great, right? But I think the real play is right here. Robert Quinn and the Bears coverage unit just go bananas. Yes, it's this one. Check this out. Like, Ogletree's got him 38, Trevis Gibson to Sean Gibson. I'm watching you guys. Tashawn Gibson passes off Devontae Adams to DHC. Artie Burns takes him down the sidelines. Jackson's over the top. And they've got him just locked up in coverage, which keeps Aaron Rodgers at bay, and Quinn goes and gets a sack. Like, he's chasing a sack record. But take a look at these pass-offs. I love these things. Like, from the DB perspective, it is so fun watching guys communicate on crossing routes where he sees Devontae Adams coming in, and he says, okay, Tashawn, you got it. I'm taking this guy right here. And watch them just switch. And so as they switch, DHC comes down. Rodgers could try to force this ball if he wanted to, but you've got a Jalen Johnson coming down to take 81 right here. And then, like, at that point, Rodgers tries to extend the play. Quinn takes him down. Quinn does the belt. I'm always shocked this stuff isn't taunting. Like, I don't get me wrong, A-Song, I do love the DD belt, but I feel like it's almost just a lack of awareness on the referee's part to not understand that that's, like, obviously Rodgers' thing. And yeah, DHC broke his arm, which is a huge bummer because the Bears are down, like, their 7th best defender at this point. Like, DeAndre Houston Carson is not on the starting roster, and he's still better than probably 4 of the Bears' current starters. And so 3rd and 18, they don't get much out of it. Like, they just sort of dunk the ball. Yeah, apparently Akusai, it's because he didn't look at the other sideline. Even though, actually, the discount, you know what? He did. Like, if we take a look at this, let's get the wide view right here. Packers sideline's over there. So he is looking towards the Packers sideline. Beats me. But so that was so funny. That was so funny, Jared. Wasn't that Nick Bosa? Like, he did the stand up teabag, prone, teabag celebration. That was hilarious. But that's neither here nor there. I may have to find that later because that was so funny. But so, well, no, Case, that was Call of Duty. Like, it wasn't Halo because he went prone. Come on. Like, plus Halo is more of like a knee crouch. Come on. Case, you playing enough Halo? You not knowing what this looks like? But anyways, all jokes aside, PJ, how you doing? Good evening. So Packers kind of take the, what is it? Like, the Packers take the L on this one. It's a smart move. Like, the Packers are sitting here playing the same game we've seen people play against the Bears forever, which is they're not going to score. Who cares? Like, 3rd and 18, let's not give them something to cheer for. We'll be fine. And then Jakeem Grant says, I'll give you something to cheer for, runs out and makes a play. Like, it's fun watching number 17. Number 17 looks like one of the best players on the Bears offense. That is sad, just from a pure talent perspective. And so you look at Brashad Perriman scoring the walk-off touchdown. You look at all of this sort of stuff, and it is kind of an indictment that Jakeem Grant isn't in the offense more. Like, I get it. Maybe he's got some kind of a, or what do you call it? Like, maybe Jakeem Grant has some kind of an offensive inhibition as far as learning stuff. But to use Cordero Patterson as an example, Cordero was explosive. I actually want to back the Bears up a little bit. Just a little bit. I really am trying to be as fair as possible. Like, I'm just going to pause to explain this. New England kind of started the idea of using CP Flash as a running back. The Bears were the ones that taught him how to do it. Like, I don't know if he would have popped off for the Bears. I really can't pretend he would have. But I can tell you that I don't think if he'd gone straight to Atlanta, he'd have been the player that he is now, because I think he got legitimate running back training, really kind of learned the position and found it over his time in Chicago. And when he moved to Atlanta, they said, how much of this do you know, man? And if we remember, like, for those of you that actually were with us back when we were breaking down those games, Cordell couldn't read a lineman, right? Like, he couldn't read the offensive line and get anywhere. Exactly like you're talking about, A-Song. It's not like Cordell Patterson was doing well in whether it's short yardage, even long yardage situations. He didn't know how to read a block. And so once he left the Bears, exactly, Ryan. No kidding, right? But so once he left the Bears, I think he had a better understanding and took that step forward at a position, kind of like a rookie and a sophomore, like, or based on the way that it works. But yeah, I mean, that's the rare player I'll back the Bears up on. Like saying, Case, honestly, the way I would put it is blame them more for Mike Davis than Cordero Patterson. I think they actually identified talent in Patterson and coached it up, but Mike Davis looked freaking awful in a Bears uniform, immediately looks fine elsewhere. Jakeem Grant's one of those players that I look at. I hope the Bears can find a way to keep him around for a cheap deal, because he's way more explosive than almost anybody on the roster, Cohen included, because I don't know if Cohen's ever going to get that exposure back. Like, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. We've talked about it on this channel. You don't normally blow out your ACL and then just return it. You look great, you know? So I don't know. I'm really hoping that Tariq Cohen doesn't go the way of Cameron Meredith, but when you're that small and you rely on quickness that heavily, yeah, Draco, I think he's more explosive than Goodwin. I think it's that short burst. Like, the way that I see it is, it's Jakeem Grant's ability to change direction, to go one way, get a defender to commit, and then beat him around a different direction that I don't think Goodwin can copy. But now we're talking too much about Grant. Though, actually, we're going to do quite a bit of talking about Grant just throughout the course of this game. So then, on this very next play, Fields is going to take a look downfield. He's going to fire the ball. Sure, it's pretty well placed. We don't need to pretend that it's, like, super well placed. Here, I'll give you the backside view of it so that you can see exactly where this ball was on the sidelines. But I'm going to tell you right now, next time I want Fields to actually hit this because he misses it and it's his fault. Like, we'll go through it. The throw is not bad. A bigger receiver or a receiver who makes a crazy catch might actually pull this down. It's not like Mooney doesn't get a decent shot at it, but if you take a look at this, oh yeah, Case, I know, we're going to go for a while. But if you take a look at this one, it's a neat little play design, even a simple one, where Robinson's going to run an out route with Mooney coming over the top. And really all we're looking at is we're looking at number 21. What's he going to do? Right? It might be, let's see. Let me see the way the play progresses. I might change my mind there. But so now we're looking at 21. If 21 commits to Allen Robinson, you throw this ball over the top like so. If he fades backwards, you throw the ball to Allen Robinson right there. But Fields kind of does neither. Once 21 breaks down right there, you got to put that ball over the top immediately. Instead, he seems like he kind of hesitates on the read. And hey, credit to him, 21 really does him a favor. Because if he had sunk backwards at all, right? Yeah, Alex, it's a new play. How wild is that we really have seen so many Bears plays that are the same, that running a standard concept feels new to a lot of Bears fans. But that's all I'll say about that. So if he had sunk back pretty much to right there, he would have killed the play because this underneath defender is doing a great job of taking away that lane. But either way, this is where Fields needs to be winding up. Instead, he hesitates just enough that by the time Fields goes to throw it, there's not really a window. Like, Peyton, I get you, but no, this is what it's supposed to be for sure. It's just a matter of you got to get that ball out on time. And so he doesn't. He's late, which happens. Like timing issues with a rookie, what's new, right? But so I look at this one like as far as a read mistake, this is on Fields because you've got to hit these on time. It's not Ohio State. You do not have forever to make these decisions. You either hit the window or you miss it. Like, and in this case, right here, you put the ball over the head or like over the defender's head, like so. You hit Mooney and he gets out at the 18-yard line. He misses the opportunity. He does a good job, like Atheist said, on protecting himself from a pressure perspective, and the arm talent's obviously there that he can hit a fadeaway throw and still keep it in bounds. Like, the nice thing is that when Fields is throwing this, Mooney does get a chance at it. So even throwing the ball way late, like it's possible to catch this. The throw looks a lot better on the All-22 than it felt on the broadcast, because on the broadcast you got this really, really clear look at everybody stopping right about here, and that always makes everybody feel really bad, right? Like as soon as you've got one defender underneath, one defender over the top, and a receiver sitting in the middle, I think everybody on the face of the earth tends to think like, wow, that's a pick, isn't it? But this is like, for a late throw, it's a good throw. And Mooney makes a pretty good adjustment on it because he defends that throw pretty well. But, yeah, like, you definitely want to hit this more on time. Again, we'll give you another look at it right there where you see 21 hesitate and cover Allen Robinson right there. That's where he's broken down. He's definitely not covering Mooney. You get the ball out there. Honestly, even if you hit a rainbow, like it doesn't have to be a line drive, but if you hit a similar rainbow, 21's going to have a much harder time getting involved on the play, and you probably have a better shot at leaving the ball in bounds. Instead, Fields had to push it out so that at least the defensive back couldn't get it. It's a beautiful throw from an arm talent perspective. It's just late, so it's an incomplete pass. But that's a lot of over-analysis over one specific play, but now you know. So then they move on to second down. I think they just run the ball, and I don't think it goes well. Which, hey, I like the fact... Oh, no. It goes decently. We'll take it. But so, I appreciate these. These are some of my favorite plays in their playbook. It's silly. Not that I love the bars part. Like, I don't understand why they keep trying to put bars out here. But I like it when they line up with either 11 personnel or 10 personnel and actually run the ball, because there tends to be a lot of space. Take a look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-man box. Much freer to run the ball with this kind of space. And so when he hands the ball off, Montgomery, like the line handles it relatively well. Montgomery has this kind of space, pushes forward, gets like 5 yards. I mean, it's solid. Wait, is that Peters on the right? Yeah, they do this a lot, believe it or not. The Bears will take the tackle on this side and they'll shift him over to this side so that you have 2 tackles leading the way. I don't get why they do it. It feels awfully predictable to me, but They do. I've seen them do it a ton. They did this with Leno. They did it with Leno back in the day, and like Ifedi, who has just disappeared off the roster apparently. I don't know where Jermaine Ifedi went, but he's not here anymore. So like maybe it's just injured reserve, and he got a way worse injury than meets the eye. But Whiter does a good job pinching Rashad Gary in. Just goes bang right there. Montgomery runs outside. Exactly, John. He sees the defender come out there. Bird does not make a heroic block, but Montgomery's able to push forward because he's got all that space and end up with a decent little play. Like, exactly. Well, you say that, Peyton, making straightforward plays. I'll take it every time because at least in 10 personnel, even the meh runs are like 5 yards. Like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's a 5-yard run. That's really not so bad. Like, you take that. And so I would think that that's a good thing. Instead, they keep seeming to try to line up in jumbo sets and go from there. But so to all the people out there that hate empty sets are a good thing if done correctly, and this is a great example of why. Take a look at what the empty set on third down here does. The Packers deploy Elon, great to see ya. The Packers deploy their standard, it's like a quarters plus coverage from what I've seen. I think, usually speaking, it's a, what is this? It's like they drop into cover 3 because the Packers are a middle field closed defense from all I can tell, though they play a lot of too high. Like, credit to the Packers. They do a really good job of scheming up differences in their defensive coverage. So they tend to play where they'll have these 3 in cover 3, cover 1, which, remember, or just in case you don't know, cover 1 means that they're man matched, and generally speaking, they'll play up on the line. Cover 3 means that they drop back into these safety windows and kind of become safeties. And then the slot corners will bite down or they'll fade back. Honestly, they can do a whole bunch of stuff, which it's neat. But what this does is it creates space. We talked earlier about how Aaron Rodgers just takes space. In this case, the Bears actually do the same thing. The empty set opens up a ton of room. The Packers try to run an invert off of it. Fields sees the space, fires to Allen Robinson. His fastball's not there. Like, this does not have the rocket that we've seen Fields let loose this season and at Oklahoma State, or Ohio State. Holy moly. OSU, you're killing me. But that's how it goes. Redneck, great to see you. Happy to see you around. But so, yeah, what'd you say, Akusai? Stuff pops up on the stream faster than it does. Bourne was pretty early. I don't know why. Referees tend to be pretty nice and easy on the offensive tackles, especially when it comes to silent count stuff, because they tap Mustipher right there, and then Borum jumps a little bit. He gets walked pretty hard, by the way. Like, we stopped talking about the offensive line, but Borum gets walked tough, like, on this one. Credit to Preston Smith, who starts working on these young tackles, but he just goes straight through Borum. Again, shades of 72, all I'm saying. But Fields is able to get the throw off with pressure in his face. Bears get a first down. Solid play. Like, doesn't have to be anything crazy. He's not going to Canton for it. What drives me wild is, we talked earlier about predictability. What do you think the Bears are doing here, right? I wish this stuff was a pass more often, but if it was me, I would guess run every time. I would allow myself to get beat by throws over the top, especially against a team like Chicago, but it's probably a run. Why is it probably a run? Because Fields doesn't tend to line up under center for pass plays anymore. It's not like he screwed any of them up. He actually did a pretty good job, like with the ones that he got, but in this case, since they're underneath, they're going to run the ball. You guessed it. And would you believe it? That kind of predictability ends you up in, like, defeated run plays. Like, I personally, Elon, when I think about this Bears offense, it's funny because we see a successful curl route here, but when they line up in a shotgun set, especially a shotgun set with what feels like 4 or more wide receivers, it's a pass almost every single time. They basically never run it with this kind of receiver setup, which obviously you can't. It's empty. But if you took, let's say, Montgomery, you placed him right here, and Robinson shifted over to the outside edge, they're still throwing it. Why? Because that's just what they do, right? And on the very next play, this run right here, no kidding, Sean. It's exactly why. And so then when they line up underneath, well, are they going to throw it out of what looks like 12 personnel? No, they're not. Why would they? You know what I mean? They just they're just going to run the ball. This is what they do. Like, we've seen this offense for forever. You know what I mean? And so I think to myself that as I watch this offense, it sucks, in my opinion, that, like, exactly, Alex, that the Bears get so predictable because as you watch them, Case, there's no other way to describe it. Like, the Bears expect their guys to beat the guys across from them without any help from the scheme, and it drives me nuts. Like, the Bears guys aren't good enough to do that. Here's Jason Peters getting whipped by, I think it's Rashad Gary out here on the edge. Just take a look at the battle that happens between these two. As Peters jumps out to go take him, Rashad rips right on through the inside, makes a really nice play, puts the ball right behind the chains. I mean, ready to ball. They are easy to play against. I don't know if you're a Packers fan. I don't take any offense to that. They are. John, it's funny you say, was it part of the design? Yeah, actually, Bird's coming on the backside. Like, Bird's only job is to inhibit number 40 right there. So the way this is very McVay. Sorry, ready to ball then. If you're a Bears fan, respect, because it means you're suffering along with us. This is a very McVay design where really all they're going to do is just play standard outside-inside zone. It's always hard to tell immediately. But Bird's going to come across because you're going to have the wide receiver do the cutback block. And it makes things, it adds a man to the box. It tries to take a smaller guy right here. And it tries to take a smaller guy and make him a run addition. The problem is your other guys have to win, right? Whitehair does his job. Let's see. I think I did that again. Whitehair does his job. Mustipher Daniels do their job. Borum does his job. Peters completely loses, and the play's over, right? But that's how it goes. J2K, I can definitely tell you Nagy won't do the keeper for Fields. Well, actually, I mean, he's about to. But with bruised ribs, you definitely don't want Fields taking unnecessary shots, and he's already taken enough, goodness knows. But so they run a basic draw, and it totally works. Like, I love runs out of the shotgun. I love runs out of the shotgun. I love runs with all this space, because check this out. 4 wide receivers, the Bears play into their tendencies. This is how you're supposed to do it, honestly, where since they throw basically all the time in a setup like this, the Packers line up in a wide DL formation with a bunch of guys way off the line of scrimmage. Like, it's a 6-man box if you don't include the guy covering up the tight end, with 2 guys way over here, or like 2 guys in deep safety setup, and obviously the corners are playing off. So you run, exactly, John, you run the draw, and it works. It works great. Like, don't watch Mustipher. Watch Mustipher. But, yeah, okay, no, I have to point him out. Like, take a look at Mustipher. I think this is hilarious. So, Fields hands it off. Mustipher goes out there. Shoom! Just gets jumped over right there. I feel bad kind of poking at him, but I do feel like Mustipher is a really nice physical comedy kind of person. He gets it. Because he really sells out on this dive, just rockets forward, bang, and gets nothing out of it. But I don't know, Atheist, because I think it's an illegal low block if you, well, A, you have to hit him, but B, you also have to be outside the tight end box. But yeah, he really goes for it on this one. But the big key is the Bears break away from a tendency, and so as they do, it totally works. Daniels kind of lets his guy beat him. Borum kind of lets his guy beat him. Kmet makes a solid little block here, right? Just gets on out. Montgomery makes a play from there. It's easy. And like John said, because it worked, what do we do? What do we do, Bears fans? If a play works, we never use it again, ever again. We never use it again. We're not allowed to do that, right? If it worked, it's out. We don't do those. You only call the plays that are bad. You only call the plays that don't work. You call curls. You call exactly. You set it on fire. You never run it. We definitely leave that thing out. But exactly, J2K, no screens. But so yeah, exactly, Derek. They'd expect us to do it again. But so from there, the Bears call the Fields keeper. This is beautiful defense. Really, it is. Like, this is called a scrape exchange. It's simple, but it's a really smart defensive call. They see Montgomery back here. This is obviously an H-back, right? Like, the Bears have declared run on this play. This is the stuff that drives me wild. You've got Justin Fields. He's obviously decent at throwing the ball, right? But so with this, they're very clearly setting up for a zone read. It's a matter of where, but with Montgomery on this side, it's a zone read. I don't think this is hard to suss out. Neither do the Packers, because what a scrape exchange is, right, is that you're going to have the edge rusher pinch in immediately, right? And you're going to have this linebacker dive out immediately. You're not going to make the edge rusher try to play both. Most of the way that those zone reads actually, like the way that they try to attack the defense, is that they try to put this guy in a conflict scenario where he can neither get the linebacker nor the quarterback, and whichever he picks is wrong. The way that scrape exchanges, as they're taught in college, it's bubbling up to the pros now, the way that they try to defend against these zone reads is they say, I'm not going to let you pick. You go get the running back. The linebacker's got your back. They're running a zone read. Don't worry about it. And so as this play progresses, you can clearly see the edge defender would tackle Montgomery. This is not a bad read. It's a good read, as a matter of fact. Thank you so much, Plum Nums. Glad to have you along. But so it's a good read, sure, but there's too many guys that are coming after Fields for this play to be modestly successful, right? When Fields breaks out, you've got 1, 2, 3, and maybe this would work if Fields was going to get to the edge and you could expect Allen Robinson to block for him. But you can't. And so Fields steps out for a gain of none. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good play by the Packers. It's also a pretty obvious play by the Bears. Like, these are the sorts of things that I know I look at and I find myself saying, this offense, it just, look, it's not like it hurts to watch. Like, yes, it hurts to watch. We all know that. But it's more that even when they do something right, they don't dress everything up differently. Or they don't dress everything up the same, right? You want to know where this might work? This might work if Kmet's sitting here on the line of scrimmage, not in the H-back position, right? You bump him up here, you run a couple of plays out of 11 personnel, maybe one where Kmet hits the seam, maybe one where Kmet runs stick, he loves running stick, like maybe one where you throw it to literally anybody else and don't act like your wide receivers aren't a problem, right? But because they sit Kmet in this H-back position, what do you think you're going to do, right? Like, I mean, what does the defense think you're doing? Are you passing out of this? You're not. So now you're just giving it away. Like, the Bears are the guys that play at the poker table, and they say it's not fair if I don't turn my cards around and let everybody see what I have. Maybe they won't realize that I've got the smartest plan in the room if they think they can see all my cards. It's stupid. At least it feels stupid to me. So the zone read doesn't work. Either handoff would have been covered up. That's the kind of play call that I know drives me wild, because if there's no winning, it's a bad play call. They just feel like they make this stuff so hard for themselves. Like, the whole Shanahan theory is you're going to try to make every play look the same. Instead, the Bears come out with a whole bunch of different formations that become the same plays, right? So if they line up under center, 80% chance it's a run. You'll live with the play action pass. Like, if you send 2 safeties deep, you'll be fine. Or maybe you won't, but you'll live with it, because if it is a run, you'll stop it for nothing. Like, Elon, which comparison? But so, what did I say? But so, anyways, like, oh, yeah, the Shanahan thing? Like, what I'm more saying is, yeah, it's just that idea exactly, John, where Shanahan's going to set up 22 plays that come out of exactly the same formation. And Nagy has like 80 formations that run 2 plays each, right? They don't even build off of each other, which is the real problem here, because it means that once you've covered up one, you've kind of covered up them all. But so, oh yeah, no, that probably wasn't it. Elon, you're probably right about that. But so the Bears get bailed out on this one, and this is not a bad example of just the state of the Bears, because they run a pretty basic play, like as far as it is, where Kmet's going to come across and kind of run like I don't want to call it a deep curl, but Kmet's going to run that with Allen Robinson trying to break over the top and Mooney sitting down in the middle, and nobody's open. Also, the Bears are going to deal with pressure. Now, would this play have worked if they'd blocked it for longer? Maybe. Would this play have worked if Jesse James had separated, not Kmet? Would this play have worked if Fields had looked to Mooney? Maybe. Would this play have worked if Allen Robinson generated any separation downfield? Maybe. But the pressure ruins it all, right? And so it doesn't matter. Now, they get a break because the Packers actually get called for a penalty here. But you take a look at this. Daniels is getting driven straight back into his quarterback's face. Jenkins is in the game. It's not a great first snap from him. He also drives right by the quarterback. Mustipher has his guy's hands in Fields' face. It's probably not a good feeling pocket at this kind of stage of the game. Now, again, you get the penalty call on, I think this one's on Whitehair. I think 96 gets called for hands to the face, if memory serves. Yep, there it is. Hands to the face, right there. But it's not great pocket. And could Fields step up there? Maybe. But I don't want to use the power of the freeze frame too freely. We've got to be responsible with this. And so, like, what is this? Yeah, Whitehair's guy's getting underneath him. It's, I think, Daniels going straight through him. And then, like, Jenkins getting driven by. So not great in general. And had he had the extra second, maybe he finds Allen Robinson, because this route actually isn't all that bad. It's basically a fake out that then cuts back up on in. But yeah, this one's not ideal. And so I keep looking at plays like this, finding myself thinking there are so many Bears fans out there. Exactly, Keith. You're almost literally taking where I'm going. There are so many Bears fans out there that have told me Fields is playing terribly. How do you justify this? And I'm like, I have yet to see Fields get that long-winded pocket that any Bears quarterback has accidentally bumped into twice a game sometimes. Like, Fields is really struggling to get almost any time back there. And so it's not to say that he needs an excuse. It's not to say that I need to over-defend him. It's more to say that as a rookie, that's going to make things hard. Like I think it's a 54, 55% pressure rate. 59, goodness gracious. Like, it's one of those that I look at and think to myself, it's got to be better on this kind of play. And like you're saying, Atheist, I do think that Rodgers would probably call out protections to get in better plays. I mean, there's something obviously in the water in Wisconsin that even the backup offensive linemen come into the game and look like they know what they're doing. Like, there's something to that for sure. And yet, Andy Dalton's offensive line doesn't look too much better. Nick Foles' offensive line got destroyed last year. I mean, it's not good. And I would trust both Nick Foles and, hey, Devin Jones, how you doing? I would trust Nick Foles and Andy Dalton to be able to call the protections. Rodgers is a magician, but calling protections as a 10-year vet is like calling protections. It's just sort of a known. And so they line up under center, which obviously means they're running it. They do. They don't get anything. Shocker again, right? Like, why is this not play action? Why can't it just be a straight drop back? Honestly, if you just straight drop backed with Montgomery coming up right here, did like a quick 1, 2, 3, I bet a defense would just never see it coming because the Bears never do it, right? But so like you end up with plays similar to this, where this one's going to be on Cole Kmet, which bums me out. But yeah, I wish Kmet would make a stronger block on this case because he gets beat by Preston Smith, but that's how it goes. The Chiefs, Devin? Oh, cool. But so, yeah, we really don't know, Case, what Fields is and what Fields isn't allowed to do. But then here's second down. So, of course, they're going to run the ball again. They take a false start. This one's going to be... The Chiefs are awesome, Devin. Just super fun to watch. Weird team this year. This one's going to be on poor old Tevin Jenkins as we get the flinch right there, and that moves the Bears back. It is hard for a tight end to block an edge. It's more that I think Cole Kmet fans are kind of looking for Cole to contribute at this point. And it's not that he's not. It's more that I want to see him either become a separator or that really strong a separator or that really, really strong blocker. And right now he's not necessarily either. But yeah, people talking about the keepers, you're not wrong. Like, if he had kept it, sure, maybe he walks in, but let's not make this too much of a meme. Like, the whole defense can see the ball. So if Montgomery comes out of that without a football in his hands, 91, 31, they're all crashing down. Like, yes, it's great if he I don't know what Nagy's goodbye present is, Elon, but so there is a lot of this stuff, and I totally get what you mean. Like, on the last play, let's see, where is it? Right here. A lot of these things. Is it this one? No, I don't think we went back far enough. Let's see. Because there are a lot of these plays I'm almost certain Fields has zero ability to actually audible out of. Like, on this play, had he kept it, first of all, 21 probably gets him, just being realistic, right? But so the defense can attack down at that stage. It looks extra walk-in because 21 is staring at Montgomery at that moment right there. But maybe he doesn't, right? J2K, they like to get bunched. Honestly, I think it's just because they see that it's a bunch of blockers, right? So they're like, bodies, we've got more people to block with, instead of thinking there's a lot of defenders here that anybody could make a play. But you tell me, honestly. More to say that Fields' running game is great. Fields is not going to keep everything for pretty good reason, but that's just my 2 cents. Now, this was a nice little growth moment on this one at this stage. No, I hear you, J2K. I do want to see him run the ball more. I like it when he runs the ball. He's fun to watch, right? But so this was a really nice growth moment because Fields is going to feel the pressure come from Borum. He's going to get out of the pocket. He's going to get out the back of the pocket. Instead of just obligatorily stepping up, he chases out the back of the pocket, which is an improvement from what happened in Baltimore, like feeling where to go. And then he bounces out. He looks downfield. He sees Allen Robinson stumble. Like, his eyes are downfield, but he thinks to himself, hey, it's second down. Last thing we need is an interception. It's a 0-0 game. I can get something with my legs, and we can set up for third down. I'm cool with this. Like, you watch it from the back end. The last thing I want to do is take our, like, young gunslinger and turn him into a conservative check down Charlie. But you see the way he carries the football. He's escaping the pocket with the ball in his hands, right? So instead of carrying it like, say, this, right, where he's running with it hands free, which can be a fumble, right? He pulls the ball down, protects against a potential fumble, and so from that moment, looks downfield, sees Allen Robinson get there and trip. I don't know if I'd have thrown it to him either. Like, especially given that Robinson and Fields' rapport is, let's say, not good. And so he thinks about it, instead realizing that he can go get some yards, sets up 3rd and 5. I'll take it. We've criticized Fields in the past for not taking the positive play. Take what's in front of you. And so to see him hit some checkdowns in this game, to see him go through those sorts of, like, to see him take the yards and move on to the next one, that's cool. And so from there, he then delivers a play that I hate. Like, this is kind of on Fields, and it's kind of on just the play call in general in the red zone. Sort of, you make the decision. I don't know what they call this, but I'm going to call it a muscle route, right? So Cole Kmet is going to kick out into the middle, and he's basically just going to try to bully the linebacker, right? Devin, my favorite team is absolutely the Bears. But so, like, Kmet's going to try to bully this linebacker with Allen Robinson on the back end running a slant. The gist of this play is that they're going to take a look at what 59 does. If he shades towards Robinson's post, then you throw the muscle route to Kmet, who's basically just going to post up on him, right? And so if you throw to Kmet, or if the 59 rolls over to Kmet, you throw the post to Allen Robinson. And so when Fields takes this snap, he sees, okay, Robinson's covered by 3 guys right here. And so from that moment, he makes the decision, I'm going to throw the post up. And he misses. Like, you guys are right. Allen Robinson ends up wide open. But at that throwing point, he's not, right? When Fields actually has to make the decision, he's not open necessarily. But the throw isn't good enough. Now, is the throw not good enough? Partially because Kmet doesn't generate a huge window. I mean, if you want to go there, you can, right? If you end up wanting to blame Fields, you can do that too. Because as we'll see on this play right here, it's not an easy throw, and he misses this, right? So as, like, Kmet's getting held a little bit if you want to go to the penalty route. But hey, red zone, especially when you've got an offensive player running straight into a defender, that's something that I'm more than willing to give the defender, because if you changed the jerseys, I would be like, he should be allowed to do this. I've got no problem saying that. But when Fields throws this ball, it doesn't help Kmet, because Kmet has created an absolutely absurdly tiny window. Like, it's got to be there, and it isn't. It's further out than that. And so you say that Kmet needs to keep his feet. Kmet's set up here. The throw came here. They just don't connect. My honest opinion, this play's too hard. Like, this play has this is like a fade to some degree. Like, sure, you want the easy throw to Allen Robinson, but because you're right, at Kusai, he does throw it away from the defender. But it's more that when you look at this play, what do you have to do to win, right? What you have to do is that Kmet, from this point right here, has to figure out what landmark he's going to stop at, and Fields has to just sort of guess, you know? So Fields takes his shot, tries to throw away from the defender. Kmet can't quite get a play, or like make a play here, and like you're saying, Derek, it's somewhere between a play for the wrong quarterback and just tough, period. Like, it's not high percentage. I mean, there are so many plays in the NFL that you can run. You don't have to run. Like, look at this formation. You do not have to run Jimmy Graham right there, right? Like, you could, at any point, you could have Montgomery fade inside with Kmet fading out to try to create a scissors action for maybe Allen Robinson on like a flat route. There are a lot of things that you could do, but Fields he just doesn't throw it to the right spot, and that right spot is really small, like really small. And so, I don't love the play call. It's not as if everything about the Bears, red zone play calling is phenomenal, but no kidding. I completely agree as far as what you're saying, Tony. Like, Cole Kmet ends up on the ground an awful lot, but Cole plants his feet over here to try to get to a ball way over there. So, like y'all are saying, I think the throw's got to be a little bit lower. We can critique Fields for this. Allen Robinson's up behind the tight end. He totally is. But as far as what the read, as I understand it, would be, you're not expecting the safety to just blow the coverage, right? And so at this moment, when you're making your decision, you're thinking, okay, I've got to throw it to Allen, or I've got to throw it to Cole right here. So he plants and he throws, because again, you're just not thinking that the safety is going to completely vacate at this situation. But so, yeah, my opinion, the throw is not ideal. It's not a great play in general. I don't think this is a high percentage touchdown. It's a bummer to see that that's all they've got on third down, overall, but that's sort of the state of the Bears right now. And so I don't think that this is one that you victimize him and say he's got to throw to Allen Robinson. I really think that's the power of the freeze frame. Like, we talked through what that means. At this stage, if he somehow just sussed out with like ESP that Allen Robinson was going to become open because Savage bit down, that'd be really amazing. But like you're saying, if they've got, they could have James dragging over the front. Montgomery doesn't do anything. There's so much stuff that I look at and I'm like, ugh. But so, yeah, it's easy to say Allen Robinson gets wide open. He does, but it's more that he gets open because I think Savage makes a mistake, more so than he gets open because he was always going to get open and created a bunch of separation. And on deeper routes, when somebody blows a coverage, the quarterback has the opportunity to say, that's cover 3, but he's blown that. I'm throwing the ball. And so in the red zone, you got to make a quick decision, get the ball out. I will side with Fields on this. But did he really? Like, which Graham? But so I think, Andrew, that you can't watch the safety. You've generally sussed out where the safety is. The ball comes out at the right time. Like, once he throws this ball with Kmet curling, this is what they want. Their tight end posted up. It just doesn't work. But so the protection's fine. You just can't freeze forever in the pocket, or you end up looking around for nothing, because the red zone's a tight area to throw into. Credit to the Bears' offensive line, though. It's actually, check out Jenkins right here. I don't know if everybody's going to like this. I mean, I don't, right? But so Yeah, and no kidding, Alexander. The difference between the way that they use A-Rob is ridiculous. But check out Jenkins on this play, because this is actually hilarious, in my opinion. Jenkins jumps out, completely misses the block, decides, you know what? I got to find a way to stop him. Pulls his leg out. If the refs catch this, it's a tripping call, and it's 10 yards back the other way. So this is the kind of screenshot that I am not a huge fan of. But oh no, agreed with you there, Andrew, 100%. But so it's not a great block. Like, I would personally look at Tevin Jenkins' game and say, I don't know if he's playing hurt per se, or what it is that he's necessarily like doing, but he's struggling to move laterally. A lot of technique problems, but that's what happens when you've like never practiced functionally. Like, at the NFL level, he's basically had one padded practice, which, surprise, right? And so as much as like I hear you that you feel like Jenkins is playing soft, I would respond right back and say he's like not practiced at all. He's probably trying not to get beat. And like you're saying, Derek, he's almost 100% not playing at full strength. And so the question is, how not full strength is he playing? Good question. I don't know. So we'll see. But so let's take a look here. We can speed up a little bit because we are really crawling through this one. We're being fine-toothed to the point of absurdity. But so the Bears run a basic play action rollout. Look at all the separation they get. This is just amazing, right? Look at that separation, double bracketing, super deep threat Jesse James. I'm always surprised on these that if this was Aaron Rodgers, they would almost 100% of the time have a back end option that curls back the other way, right? But so, what is this? Darnell Mooney's got the flat route. If this is Andy Dalton, he chucks it there. But there's just nothing. This is one of the two rollouts that they use. They either run this one, where they've got the tight end coming across, one tight end goes up and deep out with a receiver that comes across the field. They also have the other one where Mooney comes out a little sooner, wheels up the field with Graham coming again across, and somebody... I think then they have a tight end that zigzags up right there. And those are the only two I have ever seen them run. Like, that's it, you know? These are the only two play action rolls that they ever run, which blows my mind. But it's what we see. And so the fact that the Packers have it sussed out is not hard. I think I could have this sussed out. And so Fields just figures out 6 yards. He just runs, or like, actually it's 9 yards, which, good for him. Like, does that make him a Hall of Famer? Nobody said that, right? But seeing a quick decision, uses his legs, he definitely gets a whole bunch of... Andrew, thanks so much for jumping in then. Glad you're having fun. But so, Mooney does a nice job with a quick little block. And exactly like you're talking about, Alex. I mean, like, if you had, Graham get to this spot on the field right here and then just stop and go the other way, nobody would know. Like, this linebacker would keep going that way, this linebacker would keep going that way, and you'd have Fields with a chance to just stick his feet and fire across the field. Yes, it's dangerous, but you got to probably pull it off in practice before you feel really comfortable with it. But there are more options than just running the same two play-action setups and hoping that the defenses never figure it out. And yes, if you wonder why it's easy to love Darnell Mooney, if you're a Bears fan that hasn't seen 11 block, he just turns around immediately and drives his guy straight into Jimmy Graham. I didn't actually see that he finished it really hard, too. Like, if we take a look at this, he comes across the field, he turns up, he just bang, hits him, and puts him right into number 80. Boom. Right there. And so it's fun to watch 11. I don't think the goal is for 11 to be your best receiver on your team, but I will tell you that, for instance, what is it? A wide receiver room of, yeah, no kidding, Akusai. I like that comparison. A wide receiver room of Darnell Mooney, Michael Gallup, and Christian Kirk would be a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like, if you had basically a wide receiver room of 3 twos, for instance, I think that could work really well. And so, like, or what is this? Ooh, interesting case. That's really cool. I like that. But so I think that the Bears would be they would do really well to upgrade that receiver room. And sure, like David Bell is draft kid, right? Like, yes, but let's talk free agency before we think draft, because I'm okay fixing it there, right? If you get Christian Kirk and Michael Gallup, you've got your possession receiver, you got your do-it-all guy in Darnell Mooney, and you've got Christian Kirk to be another Mooney, but like a deep threat possession guy, and so on and so forth. Tony, I have no idea what's going on there, and I can't pretend I do, but we can keep going. Exactly like you're saying. I mean, Khalid, it's just wild watching the Packers offense. They're just so good. At what the Packers do is they run so many different looks, right? That instead of this, where what are they doing? They're under center. I bet you it's a run, right? It's silly, you know? But I bet it's a run. Let's see if they prove us wrong. They didn't. Stuffed for a gain of 1, right? Like, I didn't have to look at my note sheets there. I'm not playing. Like, they're under center. They're in 11 personnel. Sure, they've got 3 wide receivers, but they've got their running back, back like in, I don't know, another state, basically. And so what are they doing? It's a downhill run. Yes, it's against a 7-man box, but you can get out of this because look at all this space along the seams, downhill. I think is this Mooney? Is this Mooney that they gave one-on-one coverage for? Now, granted, I think that's Jair, but like there are other things you can do besides just hand it straight into the teeth. Like, it's never a straight drop back at Kusai. There's so much you could do with this. They never run quick game out of under center. It's just, I mean, I could say dull, but it's predictable. Like, it's predictable to the point where it's not hard. And yeah, Case, I mean, it's the Packers are asking the Bears to beat them. Oh, look at this. They're in empty. What could they possibly do? And so, thank you. Thank you, Atheist. That really helps. But so, in that case, you have your best receiver, so to speak, on a rookie. But, yeah. Anyways, let's see. I actually didn't watch Jenkins' snap here. Let's take a look. I don't mind the idea of just a little bit of extra attention to just to watch number 76. So, right now, if I was to compare Jenkins to a player, it's Kyle Long, like rookie Kyle Long. Like, when I watch Jenkins in this game, he's freaking huge. Like, he's a big guy, right? He's a strong guy. He's got no issue with bull rushes, and he can push people around pretty good. He just is very shoddy in his technique and needs to improve overall physical fitness, which granted wasn't Long's problem. But when I look at number 76, I see somebody who's rawer than he looks, probably due to the fact that he just had back surgery. I mean, Atheist, you got to remember, he's coming off of back surgery that he got cleared from 2 weeks ago. Like, he can't be in shape. That would be wild because you spend months doing nothing when you get back surgery. So a little bit of extra weight to keep that 300 pounds, that just makes sense. But so Bears run a quick play action hit here. I think Fields makes the wrong read, and this is a nice example of to give a quick Kusai, unfortunately, if Brett Coleman raved about it, he cursed it, right? But so I think he's out of shape, and I think he'll get there. But so anyways, Coleman's awesome. Coleman does a great job. Like, it's 100% a joke. But so anyways, this, if you're looking for Brano, that's a great anecdote. Stuff like that is so key. Thank you for saying that, because I feel like we keep looking at professional athletes and asking them to be Superman, right? And so when instead we remember that there's somebody in this chat that says, I just had back surgery. It's taken me 4 years to feel good. Like, that's a helpful reminder. But so the main thing you're going to see is I want you to watch Darnell Mooney. Fields is going to feel pressure from the inside, and he's going to bail out of this, right? Credit to Fields. He takes the check down. Like, this is a step forward from where we were, right? Where he's going to feel pressure, he's going to take the check down. But if at any point you want to wonder whether or not the Bears are doing damage to Justin by playing him behind a team that is not helping him, like, Fields sees the man bursting through the pocket and the man coming open free, and therefore his eyes drop and he misses Darnell running wide open, right? So he ends up super open. Like, maybe part of that is because this guy cuts underneath as Fields releases the ball, but there's a very nice hole to throw into. Fields, against his usual like scouting report, takes the, what is this? It's about 2 to 4 yards maybe. Like, he takes the check down in front of him because he sees pressure coming and avoids the hit. That's good. Kind of. Like, you want Fields to take those downfield shots, right? We want to pick up yards. Yards are good. But, and you know what? A quick check down, way better than a sack. Like, you will live with distributing it to a human being, right? Who catches the ball and has an opportunity to make a play with it. Like, maybe Jimmy Graham breaks the tackle. Maybe Jimmy Graham picks up a first down anyways. You never know. That's why you got to hit the check down all time. Like, you have to hit the check down on time, and to give Fields some credit, he does. Graham makes ish, like, enough of a play, picks up about 4 yards. Like, it's not a bad play. It's just a good example of, if you want to get more extra annoyed with the Bears, when the offensive line started fading, the quarterback with bruised ribs said, F it, I'm checking the ball down, instead of keeping that deep throw or bust energy that we've seen from him over time. And I hope that this isn't the beginning of the Bears starting to kind of warp him, which I don't think they will. Like, if I'm being very direct, I think he'll be fine. But this is like one of the last true like read mistakes that we really see from him. And I wish that he'd stuck with it. But given the way this game is gone, where he's already been knocked to the ground probably 8 times, maybe closer to 6, but it's not been that many passing attempts, I don't blame him for wanting to stay upright. So he distributes the ball. It's 3rd and 5, I think, coming up next. And let's see what happens there. From there, they run the ball. Huzzah. They get some decent yardage out of it. I think he's starting. Honestly, I think he's starting to. Like, the game feels like it's beginning to slow down for him. It's just hard for it to slow down when the Bears are not giving you many windows of particularly wide open play. That's my 2 cents anyways. But so, let's see here. Okay, Bears get the first down there. I cannot remember what down it was, but they go to play action on this one, and Fields catches a break. Like, this is an inaccurate throw. And granted, it's totally defensive pass interference, but it's a basic play action curl. The Bears run this so often, and Fields misses inside, in my opinion. I wanted you to see that first. The ball's right there because Mooney's positioning, yes, it's affected by the DPI, but it's not controlled by it, right? So let's take a look at it from the wide angle, and you'll see it a little bit better. So they're going to bring Jakeem Grant over. Jakeem's going to run straight up the field with Mooney coming back for the curl. And I would have expected this ball to be further inside. It's not a bad curl window, right? Like, he's stopping right here. Yes, it's the Nagy special. Yes, jokes, so on and so forth. But Fields is going to rip this ball, and it should be there so that Mooney can come back for it and, like, and range sideways in the direction that he's moving. Fields misses this inside, which is not normal. He's not normally known for, let's call it, inaccuracy. But the Packers DB should catch this too. Like, this is one of those that I know I look at and I'm like, whew, if I was my defensive back, I'd want him to grab it. But Slim C, to ask how it's DPI because he comes over his back, right? And so because he hits him right here, yes, he's trying to make a play on the ball, but recently NFL officials are just cheeky about it. And so until they adjust the fact that an underthrown ball can become defensive pass interference, stuff like this is also defensive pass interference, and the Bears have gotten punished for it too, because at one point Eddie Jackson had a touchdown taken off the board in 2020 against the New York Giants for a very similar play. So know that we feel your pain, but he definitely just gets DPI off of contact and contact alone, and Fields gets bailed out of a really bad play. Not a good throw. Like, you can't be leaving the ball on the outside of a deep curl like that. Maybe there's an answer, or like maybe there's some degree of it that's just practice, reps with the ones, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to things to critique Fields for, throws exactly like that, not good. And we have to talk about them. right? We can't just pretend that Fields has been outrageously accurate at absolutely all levels of the field, especially when he's playing with bruised ribs. But you hope that this is a rare game instead of common, because he definitely missed a lot more than you want to. This play had Nagy written all over it. I think if you've watched this channel enough, you've never seen me say that, or at least rarely, right? You see that on Twitter all the time, but I mean, this weird scoopy throwing motion is so goofy. It's a lot of work for 6 yards, but I just thought it was so funny, like seeing this back on tape, that Fields goes, "You wang," and just like tosses it forward. Yeah, exactly, Alex. Like, no, or A-Rob didn't run around. Oof. But so from there, this is the best play the Bears have run all year. Like, Packers fans probably fully respect it. Like, this is unreal. To give the Bears some credit, they catch the Packers in the fact that the Packers almost never play true man on like 3rd and shorts. They tend to really like their zones. And so as soon as you get Grant coming through right here, 39's not going to carry him over. And so when 91 comes underneath, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think even 5 blockers that kick out into space against 3 guys. Just there. Like, take a look at this. This is wild to me. They get so many guys in space. They get Tevin, they get their center, they get Cole Kmet, Darnell Mooney, and Khalil Herbert to take on, looks like 4 guys, with one of them falling over who never had any idea, right? And so as soon as they get him out in space, like, he's gone. He makes a nice play to break a tackle on 29, but man, that is a gorgeous play. And what's really wild to me is I can't believe the Packers didn't play it at all. I think these are those plays where when you talk about how Shanahan mixes things up, the beauty of this, right, is that, oh gosh, I guess I need to watch Mustipher. Oof, case. But the beauty of this play is that they line up in pretty standard 11 personnel, right? They've got Herbert in the backfield, and they're going to use Herbert as a blocker. I think that stuff's smart. Whenever you use your halfback as a blocker, there are a bunch of different positions where they're not going to really see it coming. Like, Herbert is supposed to get the ball and go either upfield, out there, or he's going to come out in a blocking assignment, right? So when he ends up just zooming over to the left-hand side and Grant comes over, I think it throws everybody off, because the general gist of this formation is suggesting that you're either going to throw maybe like a screen, or you're going to run it this way, or something else, especially since it's, 2nd down, memory serves, but might even be 1st down. But so Fields gets a nice statistical adjustment, because that right there is a 46-yard pass, perfectly accurate, right? Like, beautiful throw, gorgeous, 46-yard pass. Madden's talking about how you couldn't place it any better, right? Unbelievable throw. Unbelievable. As they just get so many guys out in space that it looks like it's 29. It's not Amos who fell over. And 26 tries to make a decent play on the ball. Thank you so much for subscribing, Residue. And from there, Jakeem just takes off, right? I agree, J2K. I think this play's formation should be way more than 20%. I think it should be like 25. But so I don't know if he is atheist. A lot of times you'll have zone defenses have sort of a line that you can't cross. But so let's take a look. Oh. Sam falls right over. But hey, doesn't matter. Touchdown. Good job. But so no worries, I am Scox. It's not like I've covered it. Personally, I think that you play the guys wherever they're best at playing. To me, it's that simple, right? I don't think we need to overcomplicate things. If Tevin feels better at right tackle, you play better, right? Or like you play him at right. If Borum feels better at left, you play him at left. Jenkins probably gets I'd probably give Borum the preferential treatment because he started first. It's simple in that case. Like, keep it easy, keep it light. You don't need to make things hard for yourself. But so, yeah, that's the best play all year, right? And so from there, I feel like Bears fans, if you were like me, are kind of like, what's going on? This, by the way, let me see. I can't remember quite which one this is. So this was a really nice play to just sort of shut things down. 22 does a decent job. I think that might be Vildor. This one, big kudos to number 4. When you ask guys to make plays, this is a good one. It's a nice little throw. Maybe it's not quite perfect, right? But like it's a nice little throw to Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but Eddie gets his eyes on the ball, breaks up the play. Really, really pretty third down defense, which would matter if the Packers weren't gutty. They don't call things correctly, and like at the end of the day, the Bears' number 3 cornerback is a lot worse than the Packers' number 3 wide receiver. Because take a look at Xavier Crawford right here. Like, this hurts. This hurts real bad. So why do you need depth at cornerback, right? You need depth because when you eventually get all of your case just for you, we'll go back, we'll show it again. So we'll show the whole thing. Vildor does a good job on that last one. This is really, really nice. When you talk about Eddie, what makes him special? He can play that deep coverage. He can also play true man-on-man, where he keeps an eye on where things are supposed to be, just pops the ball right out. Really, really, really wonderful play. But then, getting back to the point on 4th and 3, Rodgers and the Packers know what they want. And yes, Atheist Lazard is bigger than the DB, but holy moly, it wouldn't have mattered. You could have had a 3-foot receiver, and he would have been just fine. Like, this is separation squared, right? With Jalen Johnson covering Valdes-Scantling, we are... like where Eddie Jackson on Devontae Adams, you've got everything that you want, and then it's Xavier Crawford getting beat so badly it just doesn't matter. Like, you need multiple receivers because credit to Lazard, he smokes Xavier Crawford. Now, is that a hard assignment? Not necessarily, but you still need to do it, right? Could Damiere Byrd smoke Xavier Crawford? I don't know sometimes, right? This is hard. I don't know why Xavier's playing outside release. I don't know what they're looking for or what they think is coming, but he smokes him. Like, really nice little route right there. Quick shimmy to the outside, breaks on in to get open. It's good. But, I mean, I agree with you, Alexander. Like, I don't think Pace has handled the roster well. Also, one other thing that I just want to go ahead and give some credit to, the more I watch Aaron Rodgers, massive credit to the way he does play fakes, right? You see tons of quarterbacks that it's this simple to me, right? Let me get a good view right here. I only just caught this, so if I'm belaboring the point, you let me know. But one thing, yeah, exactly, Sean. That's how I feel. Look at Rodgers' footwork right here. Like, he's got a wide base as if he's going to hand it off. He's acting before the snap has happened, right? Like, he already looks 100% like he's going to catch, he's going to take a quick step back here, and he's going to hand it to the back on 4th and 3, right? And so once you, see it, he pulls his eyes all the way down. Like, everybody here is thinking run 100%, so you don't get anybody dropping off the line of scrimmage into that potential slant window as he pops it right up, gets set, and flicks the ball to the end zone. Rodgers is good at all the little things and all the big things. Like, big thumbs up, in my opinion, where you watch a lot of those Rodgers play fakes and he's just good. Like, this, it might have been an RPO case. Like, you couldn't really tell because Rodgers makes it look like it was a no doubter 100% of the way. Yeah, I think it's a fake, like you're saying. If it was an RPO, I don't know what in the world he read, but they knew he'd get him wide open, and he did. But so, I mean, Atheist, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think there's no way to argue against Brady. Like, in my opinion, with 7 Super Bowls, you can't do that, right? Like, it's more, he's so accomplished, Brady is, and he called his shot on the Buccaneers that you can't pick somebody else. But Rodgers is probably the best quarterback I've ever watched. Like, he's so good. Phenomenal. Rips us up pretty much every game. He's 22-5 against the Bears for very good reason. But if I had to pick a GOAT, it's really hard. And I agree with you, Derek. Luckman had like a 14% touchdown percentage. I mean, Luckman is crazy. Luckman could easily be the quarterback GOAT just based on his stats. But the GOAT argument's tough in football. But so anyways, let's get to it. So then we've got a pretty, I think this is a run, might be a pass. Nah, it's a run. And look at that. An 11 personnel run going for 7 yards. Couldn't be me, right? Like, again, check it out. We're in 10 personnel, as a matter of fact. 4 wide receivers. Look at all this space. 6-man box, 5 on the line. And how easy is it? Really easy. Good little block by Borom, number 75. It kind of hooks his man, but gets just enough of him to push his way through. And this is really good. I don't know. When you spread out the defense, you can get a lot of yardage just with space, because running backs are so good, they can capitalize on whatever space you hand them, and this is a perfect example of doing that, right? Monty did take it outside of Kusai because there was the room to do it. Also, let's go ahead and just tip our caps to a beautiful spin move here as Fields comes out, takes a look at the flat, doesn't like the fact that Preston Smith's right in the way, kicks sideways, spins him out, and then gets the ball out of his hands. Now, should Fields have thrown this? Oh, by the way, you guys thought I was kidding about how the Bears only run like 2 play action types? I was not. 1, 2, 3 again. Like it's the same one again. But so one thing I will critique, because I've listened to JT O'Sullivan too many times. He's poisoned my brain about it. When you run a naked rollout, you've got to make sure you get depth so that you can throw the ball to the flat in the worst case scenario. When you pull this ball, you've got to get deeper than Fields does so that when you turn, you can get the ball out of your hands. And Fields doesn't really. He gets a little shallow and he makes a sweet spin move. We get to see some athleticism, but that could have easily been a sack. One of these days it will be. And it's not obviously a completion, so you want one. I don't know. It's not a bad play by Fields. Rookie moment. This is like the second one he's had of these, but it makes a sweet spin move. It's always fun watching a guy make an athletic play. And like you're saying, Sean, it has to be coaching because it's happened more than once at this point. But takes a look downfield, doesn't like what he sees, gets the ball out of his hands. All right, so now on to the pain. Like, if y'all know what's coming right after this, it's not fun. But so, like, I think, Atheist, to talk about what you were saying, once he breaks away, I actually do think 96 has a beat on him, because Fields would have to accelerate and potentially beat him to the edge. Maybe he's just exhausted after that spin move. You tell me. I don't really know. But he fades backwards. I don't mind the incompletion. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, this is a nasty one. Now, one thing, like we're talking about the pick six. You know it's coming, right? But one thing I'll say, this is where I think Fields plays the hurtest, and also this is where I'm really sad about the route. I don't think the route is phenomenal, and the holy moly, the corner jumps it. Like, oh my gosh. 20, is it 21? Is it 21? No, it's 29. And he no doubters it. Like, take a look at Mooney. I don't think Mooney does a great job of selling the deep route. Like, just spade to spade, right? You cannot run an out route and not like, and make it clear. You can't clarify that you're running an out route, especially when the corner fades back only just a little bit and drives forward. Hey, Devin, great to see you. But so in this setting, it's not a bad read. Once Fields identifies cover 3, you're trying to get Mooney to sell the guy on the inside before breaking to the outside. Mooney does none of that, right? Like, just to throw it out there, Mooney kind of rounds his route right there and then breaks to the outside to the point where Rasul Douglas just blows straight through this, and it's duck too. Like, spade to spade, it's a Nathan Peterman kind of throw, right? Fields falls over there, big sad. But so, like, this throw is not fast, and Fields tends to be able to drive this ball a little faster. But this is, like, this one hurts. Let's see. Exactly, Derek. Dalton might have thrown that pick six too. Dalton just would have scored on the back end of the play. But so, exactly, Akusai, right? Like, why run double moves when you can just run the same couple of routes all the time? No problem. Again, this is the right read against cover 3. Like, personal opinion, when you're running an out route against a cover three, like corner safety, you're pretty confident you can get him to fade backwards and at the very least cut his hips on the inside. But if you watch Rasul Douglas, like just take a look at the play right here, right? He never buys it. At no point is he ever thinking it's anything other than an out route, which is where I look at things and I say, this is where you get punished on a pattern, right? They don't ever have Mooney especially from the slot, just run a go, right? At this point, with his hips so square right there, Mooney could just hot adjust, get way downfield, and he would smoke him. Like you're saying, exactly like you're saying, Johnny. If Mooney got straight down the field, no problem. But like Draco's saying, Mooney's already coming in, right? Like you've already seen Mooney go from here to here. So Rasul's gonna just drive on it. To me, this is the wide receiver like tipping their hand a little too much. Pick sixes are a collaborative effort, but against cover three, you're pretty sure that you can sell the fake or like sell the go and drive it out. And instead, Fields gets punished, not for the wide receiver. Like the picks are on the quarterback. Can't say that clearly enough. But when it comes to the finer points of football, the wide receiver is also a part of the play. And so I want to see Mooney run that route a little bit better. You can see little stutters and stammers from all sorts of people. I mean, he could even fake a curl and get out, right? So at this point, like you're saying, Atheist, if anything, Fields throws it just a smidge late. Like just a smidge, because he's throwing as he comes out on the break, but it's just a little bit. The rest of the play is you've got Jakeem Grant running a curl. Why wouldn't he be? You've got Cole Kmet, I think, running up the seam. Pretty standard, right? Looks like that's a curl. That's an out the other way. I think they're running like double candy canes right here in the middle to just try to set up two out routes. One for the wide receiver, one for the quarterback, or like one for A-Rob, one for Mooney. But yeah, this is one of those that I look at and it's a bummer. Like you're saying, Draco, what's a pass play without a curl? But Rasul makes a great play. Like, big credit to the corner, I think it's a corner, right? But like you're saying, Sean, if it is on time, I still don't think it's a completion. It's a pretty crappy throw. You could see that on the wide view. Like, this is pretty ducky if you take a look at this, because as it comes out of his hand, it just wobbles. So it's not the tight spiral that you're accustomed to. But when it comes to the middle being open, Johnny, like, this is one of those where the weird part is, I guess technically, yeah, like maybe a zippy throw, you can get the ball to Graham, right? But you really want your wide receiver to make the space against cover three. The trouble is that the Packers have it sussed out. They're not playing anything deep, right? Like, take a look at what 31 does over here. Now, granted, they've got Allen Robinson bracketed, so he's not playing it deep either. Like, he's got no problem with it. It's a bad pass. It is. Fields has to own that it's a bad pass. But I know when I look at this is a Packers defense that isn't expecting the Bears to do anything deep, and they didn't. So, there you go. Like, that's the kind of stuff that has started to drive me a little bit crazy, because other defenses could just sit on their curls and flats, and the Packers did, and they just made life really hard. Let's take a look at Daniels, like, kicking back so hard. He goes back because he passes off 97 and wants to go help Borum ASAP. But so, wait, where's Nick? Oh, sad Matt. He said he was having fun. But so, yeah, it goes back the other way. Let's see. I'm with you, Derek. Like, and I think you being 10% more down on Fields is a good thing. Like, by the way, I think we should be able to be hard on Fields. Like, we really should. I'm talking about the positives, partially because it benefits me, and partially because I want to believe in the kid. Like, I'm 10% more up than some because I'm looking at the traits thinking that all the weird parts will fix themselves, right? And so the other stuff, like the results, they've got to come along. But man, Nagy's offense drives me crazy in a way that I don't feel like Trubisky's offense did until last year. Last year's was boring to the point of spite, and the Foles offense was a disaster. Like, I hated watching that. Oh my gosh, that was just terrible. But there you go. Also, I was surprised Mason kicked this out of bounds. Big sad for Mason Crosby right here. Like you can really see it. You can really see the crippling kicker sadness as Crosby lets this one go and just plunks it straight through. Straight out of bounds. I'm with you, Draco. But it is always funny watching players be emotional, and you can feel the no as he just pushes the ball up to the 40. Yeah, Kusai, we totally can. We'll get there. Like, we can close up with some of that. But so, Bears then, of course, hang on, just to really belabor the point, right? Bears line up in a condensed set. What are we doing? We're running the ball. So, we run the ball. Do we get any yards out of it? No, we don't. Oof. And they totally are atheists. I'm high on Mason Crosby, and I didn't pick that out just to goof on him. It's more that it was funny to see it go out of bounds because this game really was willing to just be crazy in all the weird ways. But so Montgomery goes, he doesn't technically go down. He just gets stopped behind the line. Bears move on to second down. I can't even remember what happens on this play. Oh, yeah. They run their scissor, and it's not open. Like, this is another one of those where I can clearly tell that that Fields has been practicing hitting his checkdowns because the Bears are going to run a play-action scissor that they've run a couple times. The Packers are going to cover it up, and Fields does a good job of just getting to his checkdown, getting it out on time, and check out the yardage, right? It's easy, it's simple, but the Bears go from a max protect scissor, right, into a quick hitter, like it's the right check down because he's closer to him. Like you get the ball to Jimmy Graham, and Graham, remember, the line of scrimmage is right there, beats his guy in open space, if you'd call it that, and picks up 6 yards. Like hitting your check down on a vertical shot is a good thing. If anything, sometimes you can get more out of quick game that way than you can out of actual quick game. Like the Bears' quick game really bothers me because it's either 6 yards or it's nothing, right? These kinds of throws make me happy because, and Sean, I can see it. Like those kinds of throws make me happy because it's easier and as long as your offensive line can hold. But like at that point, you still pick up the same yardage, especially when you potentially upgrade Graham with somebody else. Andrew, honestly, I don't think you necessarily have to hit Mooney there. Like, let's take a look at it. There are a lot of situations where I'm going to go after Justin for not hitting Mooney, but it's 2nd and 10. You're not trying to end up in 3rd and 10, which is sad that we're reducing our gunslinger to this. But in the wide world of is he open, like maybe he could. Actually, I feel you. The question is, where's Mooney supposed to go? Because he kind of hooks his route like that. I actually don't know. Like, if his route is the deep crosser that it looks like, Field specifically made him call some checkdowns. That's interesting, if nothing else. But yeah, I want to see Fields eventually start hitting a whole lot of these. Like, because like you're saying, could he hit him, especially with 31's hips turned? I actually think the more that you mention it, it probably is open. Like, that's actually a really good catch on your part, Andrew. Good job. Like, we don't need to necessarily side too hard. And yet, I'm perfectly comfortable. It's one of those rookie growth moments, right? Fields needs to learn the balance between throw the deep route and hit the check down. It's a tough ball, sure, Chase. But at the same time, like, let me see. When the ball in the air, he got hit all day, yeah. But so let's see. Oh. Wait, hang on. Why do I see the guards stand up and look at the QB to see that he's ready to snap the ball? I can tell you. No worries, Nanisha. We'll talk about that. But so Fields learning to hit his check down, to me, Andrew, in the world of growth, is a good thing. Like, take 4 games to figure out the balance of when do you hit your check down and when do you gut it down. And yeah, he is rattled from the game flow. If nothing else, it works out. Like, we'll see exactly what happens, to VOI? I don't know what that means. But so what's going on, Nanisha, is that Daniels has to look back and see when Fields wants to snap it so that he can then tap Mustipher to snap it whenever you want, right? And so he taps it, which then is the signal for Mustipher to snap it because Mustipher's not looking. It's the way that they do the silent count. But so, yeah, at this point, I'm cool with it because they move into 3rd and 4, and you guessed it, this is the other touchdown, right? But credit to the Bears, what they've got on this play is that they've got Allen Robinson on like a seam route up the middle with Damiere Byrd running halfback angle, which the fact that it's Damiere Byrd is really weird. We can say that out loud. But credit to him, right? Because it works. It's 3rd and 4. After taking a check down, the Packers have to cover short yardage, right? They take a look at Allen Robinson. 21 carries him up the seam. 41 gets absolutely shredded by Damiere Byrd on the Texas route, the angle route. And then he just takes it the rest of the way. Right? Like, I'm with you, DT. It would have been a tough throw, but I see what Andrew's saying, that a theoretical perfect satellite laser could totally get there, right? Sometimes, Draco, I know exactly what you mean. Like, Damiere Byrd's first couple steps are nothing to be super excited about, but they get the halfback angle. You know the sad part, Derek? That's, like, not weird. A halfback angle route is everything that they would be doing with Tariq Cohen. If I could pick one player, whether it was Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, like anybody on the Bears at this stage that I could just get healthy again, right? I would love to see Tariq Cohen on this team. I think there's tons of stuff. Like, people talk about a pass catching tight end as a quarterback's best friend. I think a pass catching running back. Like, look at Austin Eckler in the Justin Herbert offense. Look at what things do with look what the Chiefs do with their running backs. When you've got Damian Williams, or honestly, like Cohen's just a perfect example. Austin Eckler, again, I'm going back to him. Like, using these guys, they are dangerous in pass attacks. And so, where does the check down help you? Well, you probably can't pull this off the same way on 3rd and 4, right? So, credit to Fields, because he advanced the ball, he takes a look, he makes a nice read, because what he's looking for is the seam open? First things first, he's got to see, do I have that throw right there? And he doesn't, right? CMC is another perfect example. Yeah, I like that. But so, no, he doesn't. Does he have this open? Yes, he does. And so he rips it. That's a really pretty throw. We talked about Fields' inaccuracy. That's really gorgeous. Rips the ball into, like, right where Bird's asking for it. It's more than a first down. It's a touchdown. Like, we can take a look at the spot right here. It's a short throw. Like, it's not far. But Byrd asks for it there, gets it right there. Good catch on Bird's part to haul it right in. But this is pretty clinical at this stage. I'm with you, DT, on I don't necessarily know that Justin has a ton of trust, honestly, with the whole team. But there you go. Was that his own blitz? Let's take a look. Johnny Wisconsin. We can figure it out. But so, yeah, Dion Lewis is another great example. So they're in what looks like a zone, but it doesn't look like they blitz. They just send 1, 2, 3, 4, and the Bears OL blocks it up. Like, we could take a look at Borum. Oh gosh. Yeah, Izzy. I mean, well, the complicated thing with Montgomery is we've seen Montgomery pick up 6 yards, 5 yards, and 18 yards. And outside of that, he's picked up pretty much nothing. Like, I feel like everybody bangs the table for more Montgomery on games where Montgomery just got stuffed on like 67% of plays, which isn't Monty's fault. Like, you're not trying to not give the ball to Montgomery. You're trying to not trust your offensive line, right? Borum and Jenkins do not have phenomenal reps on this play, but what a wonder getting the ball out on time does. Because when Borum and Jenkins both get low-key bullied, like, Fields gets the ball out under pressure, shoo, no problem. Fields ended up with 122 yards under pressure in this game, which was the most out of all rookies this whole season. So take for that what you will. I mean, he was under pressure plenty. I think he ended up 11 for 18 under pressure, so not so bad. Obviously, you don't want a game where he's throwing a pick six, but they also happen. Like, Russell Wilson's gotten pick sixed. Aaron Rodgers has gotten pick six. It's not as if a pick six is a death knell. Though, did Trubisky ever? No. Like, was his first pick six the last one in Atlanta? Because that's weird. But, hey, you get the idea. Like, let's see. I know what you mean, Monty. Case. I think honestly, Monty's one of the better check down backs in the league, and I don't think I'm necessarily being just some massive Bears fan to think that. He's quick in space. Yeah, I didn't think so, Kusai. Let's see. I'm starting to fade a little bit, just to tell everybody. But so we'll quickly go through the last couple plays. Here's the touchdown again. Big sad. Yeah, he never did he? Wow, that's amazing. Mitch Trubisky, QB1, right? But so we'll let this drive play out pretty quick. Khalil Herbert returns this. That is really wild, Case. Like, that's bananas. Honestly, that's a perfect descriptor of Trubisky, like, at his best and at his worst, right? Because he struggled with those big-time throws downfield, but he never threw a pick six. Like, I think that's hilarious, Derek. So as far as, like, the game manager guy, I feel like Trubisky makes a lot of sense. Short throws. He didn't turn the ball over a ton, especially in his later years. But so Fields takes the ball, 24-21, and he's able to get him downfield. A lot of it's off of simple throws and checkdowns. That's a sad one. I don't know why Mooney feels the need to jump for this. Like, at this stage, he's got Mooney on a quick curl with, I think, Kmet running like a post the other way. I took one look at it, so don't harp me on it. No, turns out it's a dig. But it's not like Mooney's not open, so the throw makes sense. It hits him in the hands. He just doesn't catch it, which, what can you do, I guess? Offensive line is all right at first blush. Oh, gosh. Okay, so let's take another look at it. When we take a look at what is going on with Tevin Jenkins, this is the part of his game that kind of scares me at this stage, right? Is that Tevin can make contact, but when it comes to him moving laterally, he gets beat pretty rough quite a couple of times. iFlames, we'll see. At this stage, I think, because this was Quentin, I cannot pronounce his last name, Kirzinko something. But so I would love to pair Fields with Michael Gallup and Christian Kirk and then Darnell Mooney. And you could then have a free agent trio. You then probably bring somebody inside of you bring somebody in the draft so that you've got 4 weapons. Probably keep Jakeem Grant around, and then you've got a decently dangerous wide receiver core. You're not necessarily. I hear you, OG Fields fan. Like, Olave would be great, but I would love to actually use free agency to plug offensive problems so that you don't have to bet on a single person. Right? The Bears aren't going to be in position where they can just pick one player and say, we want that guy, that's who we want. So there you go. Jordan, I don't love Goodwin enough. I don't think Goodwin's a particularly great route runner. Maybe we'll see it a little more later, right? But my hope, Derek, is that that's exactly what doesn't happen, right? My hope would be that the Bears basically take all their that they take all their cap and they stuff it into the offense so that Fields can play with some decent guys, right? Another decent, here's another play of just Fields taking the check down when the check down's offered. Could he have made a play downfield? No, not really. You could see him feel the pressure, get on out, and go from there. Pressure comes from Daniels' side. Looks like it's Kenny Clark, number 97, $15 million man for the Green Bay Packers, the Green Machine. I don't know what you'll call it, truth be told. But Pack goes to Kmet and ends up with 6 yards and a clock stoppage. So then I think this is the nice little run, and I'm pretty sure that Allen Robinson is furious. This is my honest opinion. The only explanation I have for this is that Allen Robinson thinks he's getting a double move, so he thinks he's going to score a touchdown. And when Fields doesn't throw the ball, I think he's livid. This is my honest take, right? Because he runs a sluggo, all right? So he hits that double move. Fields sees freaking open grass and makes what I can only think is the right decision, right? So he just jets for it. And then A-Rob just completely pieces out. He just lets that one go. That blows my mind. As far as a coach, I am no coach, but you can't be doing that. I don't know what necessarily the opposite option is. But once A-Rob turns around and sees that his quarterback has tucked and run the ball, like 29's looking at him. Block him. I mean, God forbid you get on the inside. Like, I'm with you, Sean. Like, it's not as if A-Rob is open, because for once, 29 sussed it out. Or, like, not for once, but for the one time the Bears run a double move, like, it doesn't work. Like, and so in this, God forbid A-Rob gets on the other side. Really. I don't want to Orlovsky this, but take a look at this. If he blocks him at all, you probably get another 10 yards, which would be really helpful, you know? Like, you end up where he's running. If he's blocked, Fields is one-on-one with Adrian Amos. That doesn't mean he's going to score a touchdown, but at the very least, it's probably not, because you've got so many defenders running this way. But instead, A-Rob just nopes, walks on out, and Fields takes the yards in front of him. Still a good play. Like, I mean, Atheist, people have been just trying to make Amos miss for years, and it's tough. But, I mean, this to me is the kind of play that's good from Fields. It shows his skill set, and it also shows just how bad things are getting with AR-12 in Chicago from a visual level. Like, you already know they're bad if you read his agent's tweets, right? But to see this kind of play is just extra confirmation that it's trouble, and it is. Makes another nice little play to just get into space. He looks kind of like I remember this game from when I was younger, and Bears fans don't take this too seriously because young Russell Wilson is more the name. But I remember this game that the Bears played against a rookie against the Vikings called Christian Ponder, right? Oh yeah, no, that was something. Thank you, OG Fields fan. Like, this was one that I thought was so funny, right? Where take a look at Jakeem Grant, who just gets absolutely annihilated right there and just falls over in open space. But Johnny, I think A-Rob got thrown to maybe 3 times, maybe, but I'm not sure. Like, at this point, I know I look at Fields. So the Bears played this rookie, Christian Ponder, and they could not sack him. Like, that's what really came to mind, was that Ponder ran around and would not be sacked, no matter how often the Bears pressured him. And Fields has that to his game, where he is really hard to get down. Really hard. And so I want to see him build on that. Like, that's a real weapon, because his mobility allows him to make plays that a lot of people don't get a shot at. And so that's a good thing. That's something you can really work with. But Fields helps the Bears with that big run, drive into field goal position, and just and take 3 points, go into the half up 27-21. Super successful half, 100%. And honestly, Sean, I hear you. Part of me thinks that Fields and A-Rob don't have good chemistry because they don't practice together. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but it's very clear that Fields thinks of Darnell Mooney as his number 1 target, and I can't wait until he's on a team where he's got a better number 1 target. Just spade to spade, you know? But so from there, we go to the second half. JK, I'm with you. A-Rob really has struggled to get open. Like, there's no doubt about that. One thing I will say, I forgot about this. Oh, what a bummer. So in the world of Fields making reads, not that anybody cares, if you take a look at Fields' eyes, he actually takes a look at the other side's combination first. So I think he gets to Mooney as his 3rd read. Like, he takes a look at this safety who's coming down on A-Rob, thinks about the flat route right there, and then gets to Mooney. Maybe he's just looking something open, but at least that caught my eye. Might as well share it. So then we move on to the second half. The second half is really quick to cover, unfortunately. And then we'll talk some special teams and go to bed, unless y'all really want to hear about some defense. Like, we could talk some light defensive notes, but I don't want to keep you too long as we go through it. I can just tell you that when you watch the Packers off, you know what? We'll watch a drive and just sort of soak it in so that you can see things. One thing I loved about this, so here's another one of these super weird plays where it's a triple option, where Fields can hand it off downhill to running back, and then he can pitch it out to Jakeem Grant, and he almost gets hit right here. Actually, he does get hit, but he pitches the ball out to Jakeem, who, check this out, goes invisible and picks up 5 yards. Like, this spin is so funny to me, if only because 51's got him a dead to rights, even gets a hold of his jersey, just doesn't get enough of him. So good on you, Grant. And then immediately the play after that, you'd better believe it's the strip sack. So Bears are, moving along. I think it's 27-28 at this point, and then this happens, right? I'm just mentally preparing everybody. So a lot of people immediately made the claim that the Bears left Tevin Jenkins one-on-one. They did not. Jimmy Graham chips him right there, right? Is it a good chip? No. It is a chip, though. And so Preston Smith goes right around him, comes on downhill, and the really sad part is the throw Fields is looking for is the out to Mooney, and it's open. Like, it's the right idea. Fields isn't holding onto the ball any longer than he needs to. Like, it's coming out right when you need it to. It's just a bad play on the offensive line's part. Like, we've kind of seen it coming all game, but this is one of those where you're a little upset that Tevin Jenkins doesn't get downhill enough. Like, I don't want to say he looks unathletic, but if you watch his feet here, especially compared to what we've seen all season from 39-year-old Jason Peters, it's a little surprising that he's so what is it? Like, I can't believe I just completely lost myself. Oh, I'm surprised that Tevin's not moving a little bit quicker one way or another. His base seems like it's almost over his feet. No, I hear you, Derek. I'm with you on that. The fact that they have Jimmy Graham and he has to do all these tight end things is a little on the goofy side. But so, yeah, I mean, what is this? Tevin Jenkins ends up with his shoulders, I think, a little too far over his feet and not quite enough weight under him. And so when he goes to shuffle, he just gets nothing, holds really badly. Strip sack comes in. It's not on Fields, in my opinion. That initial step was way too shallow. And, oh, shoot. Urban Meyer got fired. So there you go. Breaking news from the Twitterverse. Looks like Ian Rappaport is talking through that Urban Meyer kicked his kicker and was kicked out. So credit to Urban, I think, for finessing the league. Like, before we freak out too hard, technically, Atheist, I guess it would be the first to get fired, but it's the second head coaching change of this year after John Gruden. The question becomes, honest opinion, did Urban Meyer finesse the league and get what's going on, Hitesh? Like, did Urban Meyer take all that money, try to get fired, and then just peace out, right? Maybe. I mean, honestly, given the way things got, I would believe it. You know what I mean? Was Urban Meyer trying in these last couple? I mean, from what was it, week 4? There were reports that Urban Meyer's heart wasn't in it in the NFL or whatever, and that he was contemplating retirement. I really almost wonder, given the where he was going, whether exactly like that, MG, if interesting, like that his contract could be affected if fired, like what? Like, I'm curious as to what you're thinking, but Tree Bro, I also think he ruined his career, and I'm with you, Sean. Like, Urban ruined the idea of a lot of college coaches, probably. I mean, to be fair, hiring Urban and hiring Dabo Swinney is a little bit of a different vibe than hiring Dave Aranda or even Jim Harbaugh. You know what I mean? There's a brand of college coaches. There's another brand of college coaches, and Urban definitely fits that. Let's call it the old boy a little bit better. But, interesting. Okay. That's really intriguing. But, yeah, I mean, he got wrecked. Anyways, getting off of the Urban Meyer stuff. So the Pack take the ball, and they immediately score a touchdown. Hey, Devin, how you doing? But so, this Bears defense tried to do some really creative things, but Bilal Nichols recognizing that Aaron Jones is squeaking out for a screen was not enough, and bang. Oh, gosh. Like, what is this? Jalen Johnson tries to get over. Oh, man. Watching what the Packers do on offense is wicked and wild because they get 4 threats in space with Mercedes Lewis, for crying out loud, cutting back against the grain. So you've got all these defenders trying to cover up what the Packers are doing with Jalen Johnson and Tashawn Gibson communicating as to who's going to take Mercedes. You've got Alec Ogletree and Jackson bracketing Devontae Adams to the point where absolutely everybody forgets about Aaron Jones. Like, this is one of those throws. It's not like a throw that only Rodgers could make, but it's a beautiful play design because I don't think the ball is necessarily supposed to go to Jones. He's just option 4. He's wide open and he scores. Like, this is so nice. Exactly like you're saying, Atheist. I mean, these are the kinds of plays that I feel like the Bears truly could only dream of because it utilizes the fact that they've got a super highly paid running back, and it also utilizes the entire dadgum field. Like, again, you've got crosser to one of the most dangerous receivers in the league. You've got a flat route right there. You've got the basic tight end like sit right there. You've got Mercedes Lewis running a big deep post just to keep the safeties occupied, and yes, you've got your running back squeezing out into the middle. Like you're saying, JX LaFleur. Meanwhile, Nagy has curls just sitting next to each other. But so he pops the ball out, it's beautiful, and immediately just dunks it on in. I don't feel like Aaron Jones is overrated. I mean, I think Jones is a really good player. I think the question becomes, how highly do you rate running backs? And if you rate them low, respect, like, that's fine. But it's a nice catch, nice move, gets in the end zone. Hard not to be excited about it if you're a Packers fan. I mean, they make it look so easy, right? And that's a perfect example in my opinion. But so, like, yeah, I mean, it hurts, iFlames. It really hurts. But so then the Bears, what is this? The Bears kickoff magic faded a little bit. Big sad. How wide Rodgers comes out, DT? Let's take a look. What you got? Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean like this kind of wide. Yes. So if you watch Aaron Rodgers, you're going to see him prep for the doomsday scenario, right? Like, if you see him, look at that depth he gets going straight backwards, like we talked about earlier. Like, you can call it coaching or whatever you want to call it, but he's much more ready for the defender to be right in his face, and then he realizes he's got time and takes advantage of it. But yeah, there you go. Oh, I don't think it's necessarily a contest as far as which guy's better. Not that I'm saying one's better than the other. I think that it's sad that they're so close, honestly. Like, only the Packers would be good enough to make a second-round running back pick look decent. But so the Bears line up, you guessed it. First down, under center, with a fullback. We're running the ball. Yeah. Oof. Like, there's only so many times I can repeat myself, so I won't this time. But it's infuriating because here's number 97. He's going to absolutely waste Sam Mustipher. Shocker, right? And then he's going to control it, make the tackle, no gain, right? Play afterwards, I think. No, there's one more play in the middle. I can't honestly remember what this is. Okay, so this is a basic screen that they had with Jakeem Grant. I think that they're really missing the running back threat because Rashad Gary basically notices and just cuts right on out. Like you're saying, Derek, predictability is the worst ability, and it's not hard to figure out that Jakeem Grant's popping out for a screen when he's a wide receiver sitting in your backfield. So when he does, and Rashad Gary goes out, I think Fields sees the key and just says, okay, this is my situation to tuck it and run, goes out and gets a total of 2 yards. So nothing great. This is, I mean, you could say that it's a well-defended play, but there's also a certain amount of this that's just, you're not trying to throw a pick six and you've got a wide receiver in the backfield. So what are you going to do? This, goofily enough, makes the top 5 Fields' best plays of the game. Like, these are the kinds of things that when you watch him is just awesome. Like, he breaks that tackle off the free blitzer, breaks a second tackle off Tev Jenkins, floats the ball to a wide open Jimmy Graham, and the ball just dies on him. Like, it dies on Graham. It dies on Fields. I watched this back. I didn't realize just how unbelievable, like, this throw goes from it's looking fine to just curveball. Like big baseball slider energy to the point where you can see Jimmy Graham set to catch it and it just completely loses pace. It's a beautiful job to see the blitz coming and make a play off of it. Like right there, he already notices. He's picked his head up much, much better than he did against, say, Cleveland, Cincinnati, so on and so forth. Steps up in the pocket with the ball in like a fumble protected position, sees the next rusher, breaks that tackle. It's gorgeous up to the point where obviously he doesn't get the throw. Now, I am curious as to whether it got tipped. Might have just been garbage, but let's take a look here because I know the defender jumped up after it. Let's see. This. Yeah, he's sad. I'm sad. All Bears fans are sad. But this is one of those where as far as the, as far as a Bears fan goes, this is a temporary Packers win that I think says a lot more than, I honestly couldn't tell you. But so I feel like this says a lot more about what the future could look like because this is a really special and athletic and wonderful play. Like this is breaking 2 tackles off of a blitz that he saw coming, drawing and dumping. Like it's gorgeous up to the point where they don't complete it. And he doesn't follow through enough. Obviously, he's going to think about that one. He thought about the Tampa Bay one too. But you're excited he was in position to make the play at all, I think, if you're a Bears fan watching Fields in his rookie year. I'll show it one more time from the wide angle. He looks at the play, sees the blitzer. Blitzer's his number one priority. Could hit the hot, but knows that he could just make a play instead. Acts fast, gets the ball out. Like, he's looking better. These are the kinds of plays that feel like he's getting better. But man, oh man, we've got one more drive, I think, to go through. And then after that, oof, because he started to really fall apart, honestly. Like, this was the point where we go one more drive, and yeah, D-Wilk, I can feel that. But so, it's the Bears whenever they do anything well, I like that. Like, let's see here, and then we go... No, we got 2 more drives, real quick. $53-30. Is this a kickoff? No. Overall, nice little play. Quick rollout, fires downfield. Grant can't come down with it. What's wild is this is one of those where, let's see. I don't think that one's better. It's great. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. I hear you, Derek. I think that's a good way to put it. Now, there are a lot of Kmet defenders, and there are a lot of Kmet attackers. This is the play that you're going to love, because this play is designed for Kmet, and only Kmet, to basically get open. This is a Mac Jones play. This is where you're looking for Jonnu Smith. Like, just to call it out, right? You want Kmet to separate even a little more than this, because he's got the ability to, but he doesn't get open quite early enough, and he doesn't get open enough late. Because as far as the way the timing is supposed to work, you're supposed to turn and pretty much, linebacker does a good job, but as Fields gets out especially, this is where you're supposed to be looking for Kmet, and instead Fields feels more comfortable going to Grant. Now, it's a pretty throw. Like, this throw in particular is placed surprisingly well. Take a look at this from behind and you'll see what I'm talking about. The play action fake's pretty meh, but he rolls out and he fires it and gets the ball to his receiver right there. Like you're saying, Atheist, you would hope that your receiver just snatches it and comes down with it. Kind of goes through his hands just a little bit. You could tell he loses it in the air ever so slightly, but in a world where it's not Jakeem Grant and maybe a better receiver, you would hope that that kind of placement can become like a completion for 13, 14 yards. It's solid. Like, are these the kinds of things that send him to Canton? Well, if they are, then the pick six the kind of things that make him a bust. We don't need to think too hard about this. Quick out to Graham. You almost wish there were more of these, but Tev Jenkins eats a big hold, and so big sad as the Bears get backed up. I don't even know if they got backed up the whole 10 yards, honestly. Like, I think they do. Nope, they don't, because they're too far back. But sad. And then on this last one, got a relatively poor effort from Allen Robinson and the offensive line in my notes. We'll see what happens. Oh, no, not this one. It's the one after this, because this is second down. And yeah, Fields does tend to throw high. That's something that he definitely needs to fix. Johnny, I'm not 100% sure. We got to finish this out because we've spent enough time just very slowly perusing things. But so, Fields is going to get back there. This one's rough. So this is a play that used to be tailor-made for Allen Robinson. Oof, right? So it's just a quick in cut off of, I don't think it's off of play action specifically. Let me take a look. Yeah, they're just doing it off of a deep drop. But so they've got one person cutting through right there with Allen Robinson running a dig and somebody else clearing out the inside. This is tailor-made for 12, and he does not get open. At least not quick enough before the pressure gets to him. So Fields has to hit a jump pass to David Montgomery, which does not work, and is big sad, to continue using it. Let's take a look at the offensive line. Specifically, we are looking at problems from Borom and Daniels. Both end up completely away from their guys on a stunt, and Fields throws the throw that you don't want him throwing forever, to say the least. So that's Daniels and Borom that just get whipped on an in-out stunt. Fields throws it. It's obviously not completed. If anything, you're just ditching the ball there, and it is not good. So then let's move on to basically the final drive that we care about. Basic run play out of 11 personnel. This one, you don't hurt near as badly. You've got space to run the ball. You run it. You pick up 3 yards. Happens. Maybe you get more. Maybe you don't. And Mike G, it did kind of look like Borom didn't necessarily read it there, but we can only talk through so much, especially when we've got really 2 plays to go through at this point. But so then it's second down. I think Fields almost throws a pick here. Let me see. Yeah, this one sucks. Because what hurts is that the Bears run this all the time, where they're going to have their running back flare out, and they're going to have it's like a curl flat combination. So when this linebacker goes to the flat, theoretically, the curl comes over the top. But watch 29 and tell me that you don't think that they've scouted the Bears. This is 29. Sorry. Case, I can't put this on Fields. Because as far as Fields cares, he's watching that linebacker, and as soon as the linebacker goes, you throw the ball. Johnny, that's not what this is about. The safety's not supposed to get there at all. 29 sees this and immediately breaks down on it. This is a gamble from Rasul. He's just right. Because the Bears do the same thing over and over and over and over. Is it not a good choice? As far as the result looks, not at all. But at the same time, this is the way the read's drawn up. You see that linebacker bite on the flat, you go. Rasul just breaks down on it. It hurts. And this is the kind of thing that, Johnny, you're exactly right. Because they know that the Bears aren't on second down going to run a curl roll or something like that, they got no issue. You're saying, ready to ball. They know all 6 of our plays. It's just a matter of waiting for it. Fields has to own that this almost got picked off. You know what I mean? I can't say that this is a good ball just based on the result alone. But if anything, it shows off just how rough the Bears' offensive situation is. So then Fields drops back, leaves this ball way too high. Woo. If he throws it on target, I think Robinson gets the first down, no problem. But he doesn't. Throws it way too high. Robinson comes down a little lower than he comes down shorter than he wants to. And the Bears do not get the first down. Now, should they have gone for it? Absolutely. At this point, they were down 27-38. And yes, it is a really nice catch by A-Rob, 100%. But, so it's 4th and inches at this point. You're talking about 9-inch gain is what you need for the first down. And they punted, Mike, which, you know what, would have been clairvoyant, given that Kindle Vildor gets called for, I think, a relatively ticky-tack penalty, all things told. And so then, yeah, you could easily QB sneak it. But, the Bears would have scored if not for the penalty. I think, to all the Packers fans talking about, special teams woes, this was one of those that I was like, oh my gosh, this is gross and sad. Like, maybe it's just that the Bears punter is magic. You know, maybe he just kicks it right, right? Maybe there's a technique to get the guy to drop the ball. Maybe. Probably not, though. And Damian Williams makes a really nice play just grabbing the ball out of the air and waltzing into the end zone before it's called back on some sad. Like, I don't really think that... Let me see. Let's see. No, I hear you. Like, Tree Bro, I would put that well. Like, the real way that I would put it is I wanted to try to sympathize with all the people that were angry during the podcast. Fields, I thought, was worse when you watch the broadcast than when you watched, when you watch the broadcast, all you've got is the stats, right? You've got a sack fumble, you got 2 other picks. He finished the game relatively poorly. They just had him throw a bunch, and he left a lot of balls high, right? But when you went back and watched the game, you saw a lot of the situations where it's like, ugh. So it's not like I end up feeling, wow, Fields played great. Fields played relatively poorly, but he learned, which is good. And we can move on with that. Like, it's all about next year. It's not about this year. And I can still see him getting better, hitting checkdowns, so on and so forth. And, yeah, I mean, Hitesh, being a Bears fan is what just happened. Wow. I don't know what this is. So let's go back. You know what? I am ready to be heard again. And we'll just pull up the footage stag. But let's see. Is this back? Just about a little bit. Yeah, Thomas, we did. But so at this point, like, you've seen all that matters with the Bears offense. Nagy in the offense was not aggressive. Not near enough. I think their short game is to the detriment of their team. Like, they can't call anything to save their lives that seems to catch an opponent off guard. And when they do, it feels like it's on accident. Like, surprise, surprise, they run a Texas route once and it scores a straight up touchdown. Like, you can't fake it. You know what I mean? It's the sort of thing where as I watch this Bears team, it feels like it's just curls, slants, curls, and then one creative play and it straight up gets in the end zone. Like the Grant toss straight into the end zone. I mean, for crying out loud, it's bananas. And I hear you, DT. I mean, I think there's something about him just leaving balls high, in part because maybe he's a little hurt, but in part because he does that. I mean, it's all over his OSU tape, as much as I think a lot of people don't want to think about it. But yeah, I mean, this was a crazy game. It was really fun in the first half. Cosmo, are you sad? Are you looking for love? He is. What a good cat. But so, it was a fun game, like, especially for the first half. If I could be really honest with y'all, like, I may lose some subs for this, but I was happy the Bears lost, because for a while there, Atheist, I could see visions of extensions under the Christmas tree for Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, and I didn't want that. Like, that wasn't worth it to me. So the fact that the Packers came back and just thumped the Bears, no skin off my back, like, that works just fine. Because the Bears need change. They need change in a really, really bad way. Their offensive scheme, I mean, Atheist, you've attended probably 3, maybe 4 of these breakdowns, and I have to imagine that the more you watch this, the happier you feel watching the Packers offense, because the Packers offense doesn't feel near as stale as the Bears do. And when you watch the Bears up close, it really starts to make you feel like happy about what the Packers have going for them, where on simple plays like this, let's go back just a little bit, like, take a look at this right here. I mean, it's easy. Oh gosh, Derek, that would be a really sad and unhappy thought. But so the Packers run plays are better than you kinds of guys. I could see that makes a lot of sense. But so on this play right here, you just see the Packers able to get good old Davante Adams in this state, where they're able to get him wide open on Eddie Jackson in a ton of space on the same throw that the Bears run against, or they run with Allen Robinson all the time. I mean, it's simple stuff. They move him across. They see, okay, we've got man coverage. So they just run the same route that they normally do. Bang. easy at that stage. I mean, one thing that I want to see, because I can't remember where it is in the broadcast, but sorry, Cosmo, you got to go down. But when you watch this, not only are the Packers pretty good about running with those wider formations, like in this case, yes, it's 11 personnel, but they're going to run against a lighter box, which works great for them. And so they're able to get Dylan Quadzilla in space, and he just runs over some dudes. But what really, really annoys me, Mike, as a it makes me happy as a football fan, it annoys me as a Bears fan, is they do a really, really good job of not only setting up their running backs, but basically their passing game is dangerous enough that when the Bears try to get into any other non-base formation, yeah, amazing, by the way, to have 100 of you guys here, like, super fun to see all this, but check out the Packers' ability to get into double team scenarios and create that space for Dylan. These are the kinds of creases that David Montgomery would truly dream of having, but 76 just gets right out, quick double team gets control of him, 73 over there, the center's got him under control, so you've got a safety to Sean Gibson one-on-one, needing to make a tackle, and Angelo Blackson, number 90, does his best to slow him down, but it's still a really big gain. I mean, the Packers just eat you up slowly but surely, and little things like that. I don't know if you saw Devontae bubble out. They keep you on your toes. Like, they won't let you on play action fakes like that take a breath. And so even when a play doesn't necessarily work, at the very least they're putting ideas in they're putting ideas in the opposing defense's head of what they might do going forward, instead of the Nagyism of feeling like, I mean, at least it feels to me like Nagy just lines up in all sorts of different formations, whereas the Packers line up in the same few formations depending on the setting. Like, look at that. All this work set up a really nice play action fake because they've been running the ball now 3 downs in a row. So they get the Bears to declare, because what you're doing is when the Bears drop into, this could be cover 1, this could be cover 3. The main point is that the Bears are trying to stuff a bunch of guys in the box, right? They're playing a wide formation because the Packers like to run so consistently to the edges as well as up the ABCD gaps and so on and so forth. But because the Packers are so consistent about that, they're trying to play wide front to also control it, and they need that extra defender down in that boxy area. So once they get the Bears to declare cover 1, cover 3, take a look at how well Lazard runs the out route. We saw 29 pick off Justin Fields on a similar throw. No play action fake, but look at how Lazard runs in to get the corner committed before running out. It's simple stuff, but it's easy. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't winning world's greatest route, you know? It's easy to run in and then get out instead of running up, rounding it, and then running an out route and giving up a pick 6, right? Like, check this out. It's in, it's out, it's open. Look at that space. Fields could dream of it, you know? And like you're saying, Mike, it's technically sound and it's well set up. Like, it's methodical. It hurts. Like, it's wild watching just how well the Packers are able to dolly all this stuff up, because by having Mercedes Lewis, who's a hell of a blocker. Like, Bears fans try to take any sidecar shot they can get, but check that out. We've talked about how Cole Kmet isn't fair against an edge rusher. Check out Mercedes Lewis against Robert Quinn. Is it perfect? It's not. Is it good enough? It is. Like, this is the goal. When people talk about Cole Kmet as a blocker, you're trying to live up to the Mercedes Lewises of the world, and he gets a full-on block against the edge rusher that sets up Allen Lazard wide open. You're right. Robert Quinn should win that, but he doesn't, partially because the Packers just make life hard on you. One other thing that I thought that they did really well that I have yet to see the Bears do in weeks, like, the Bears will bring one wide receiver in motion across the field sometimes, like the Grant, the Grant touchdown. This is what they did. But on basic pass plays, they really don't use much motion at all. Maybe Fields isn't used to it or something. Maybe defenses have caught on to something that I haven't learned about, but the Packers make sure that if you do beat them on a play, that they kind of get you back. I mean, in this case, one guy that I talk about on the Bears more than I feel like I was supposed to, I don't know, is Angelo Blackson. Like, 91, Eddie Goldman has been fine, and we don't pay him to be fine. I hate to be so hard on him, but really, he's not stuck out, right? Bilal Nichols has been all right as well. You were hoping for a second step eventually. You never saw it. But Blackson consistently does his job, and his job is to stuff the run. So you're going to see him right here. He gets inside on that run play, has leverage on 79 or on 70, and just controls his gap well enough to range over and make a play on Quadzilla for a gain of 1. It's a run stuff, and he does a good job. Like, yeah, Derek, now he's not even all right, unfortunately. So then the Packers go into the gun, and I just love watching the way they operate their offense because, I mean, come on. Like, there's an aspect of what Desai tries to do that I respect, getting weird with it. But check this out again. That's Robert Quinn. That's number 94. That's an edge rusher. What do you think he's going to do? Like, check this out. Devontae and Rodgers once again have that connection that we just saw with Lazard just a little while ago, where they're just going to take the free yards. They don't think he's coming. You know what I mean? Like, or they think he's coming. So Devontae just pops out, already looking for the ball, catches it, makes a play in space. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like, I actually don't understand this call at all. There is an aspect of this that's just a little weird for me as a defender. Maybe if Robert Quinn was, say, Leonard Floyd, somebody that you could trust in coverage, or number 99, Tashawn Gibson, I'd get it. But it's a 4-3 defensive end playing in your 3-4 defense. That's not who I would pick to just sit outside, like right on top of Devontae Adams. But hey, to each their own, I guess. Like, exactly, Johnny. It's a CB blitz from the Bears sack leader. Blech. Ogletree did miss bad, but that's what Devontae Adams does in space, so I just respect it at this point. Eddie has the almost impossible assignment. It's not Pettine, Johnny. It's Desai, in case you were wondering. Sean Desai. But so, Eddie on Devontae Adams. Honestly, Devontae Adams on functionally anybody is a recipe for disaster. You could tell that one thing that they were trying to do was right, Shane? Exactly. But so one thing that the Bears stopped doing is they stopped letting Jalen follow Devontae around, because Devontae picked him off a couple of times. Like, they started to put him in positions where maybe it's partially that Jalen's an outside corner. Maybe it's partially that once Xavier Crawford went down, they didn't feel like they had the personnel. Like literally not enough outside cornerbacks were on the roster, but they put Eddie one-on-one on Devontae Adams, and it was ugly. Like, just to be there, right? Devontae will rip up anybody. Like, I will defend any Bears defensive back that ends up one-on-one on Devontae Adams, because it's not easy. But at the same time, to just yeah, exactly. Like, he can't do that at all, Sean. He's playing it fine. It's just not good, per se. And man, it's a heck of a play. Like, another thing that I've noticed with Packers offensive linemen is we've watched a lot of Bears losses tonight on the offensive line, and they never seem near as ugly as other teams. In this case, like, check this out, where the Packers don't win the line of scrimmage. Like, 68 is getting controlled. Ogletree is free, but for some reason Ogletree just walks back into. Actually, I don't understand this at all. Like, watching 44, I wonder what in the world is he doing, because he just walks into the block. By the looks of it, he blocks himself. He just blocked himself. Like, so Ogletree apparently just gives up his gap for free, and then. What is this? Roquan's not in the game, so the Bears defense is down now 7 starters, and God knows they can't lose just about any in the first place. I'm with you. I am Scox. I think it's because Graham's just not ready to roll. But like, I just don't think he's good enough. He struggled in the preseason, for crying out loud, and the preseason's as close to easy as it gets because you're just playing man coverage. But so I don't know what Ogletree was doing, D-Wilk. But then you get the occasional Mercedes just short ball. Wife stuff. Yeah, Ogletree's been a real struggle busser. But so the Bears get downhill. I mean, they're trying, right? But at this stage of the game, like if we went through and we talked starters, you've got a starting corner, a starting free safety, I think a starting rotational defensive lineman, a starting edge, I think a good rotational edge right here, and then basically everybody else that's currently in the game is a backup, and deservedly so. Like, here's a cast. I don't know. The Bears really struggled with depth, and part of that's due to draft picks. Part of that's due to just flat out mismanagement. I mean, it's because this kind of thing, like, this is one of your best defenders on their best weapon, one-on-one, and it's an L, fam. I mean, you watch, there is something to the idea. So I posted this question on Twitter earlier. Like, what's more important, coverage or pass rush, right? And in my opinion, the answer is coverage. At the very least, coverage players. Because the problem is, what do you do as a defense when on the 5-yard line, their wide receiver 1 is flat out better than your cornerback 1? What do you do? Like, when Davante Adams lines up against you and you don't have anybody that can stop him, what do? And I'm with you, Atheist. I mean, yes, you can't, you believe coverage because pass rush can't get there fast enough if coverage is totally incompetent. But I also think, like, this is 4, by the way, case is up here on the defensive line. So they're playing the run within this. But man, like, you know what I mean? Like, Khalid, exactly. It's the fake, it's the fake fade to a slant. It is good. And yeah, long term, you absolutely want to see what JJ can do, but he gets his ankles shattered there, which, hey, that's how it goes. Like, that's the problem, Mike. It's like JJ's capable of shutting down Adams in one snap, but it's like the way that Bill Belichick prioritizes his team in case, like, you yeah, no, I agree with you, Case. But the way that Bill Belichick builds his team, I read a big long article by Stephen Ruiz that was phenomenal, I think, is he builds it from back to front. His thought is, if I can get a Stephon Gilmore and a J.C. Jackson and the other guys that he gets whose names escape me, I can figure the pressure out. I can send an extra blitzer. I can run a twist up front. I can work this way. I can do this. I can do that. And exactly like you're saying, JK, it's not like a great CB never loses a rep, but his idea is, how do I stop their best weapon if I don't have the DBs to do it? And in Belichick's world, he doesn't have an answer. He has an answer for other stuff, but not that. And so Johnson, in my opinion, look, I'm not saying Johnson sucks when I say what I'm about to say. I would just love to see a corner better than him also on the Bears. Because if Johnson's your CB2, you are cooking. Like, I think Johnson is a low-end CB1. So if you've got a high-end CB1 to go with him, you're covering really well. You could shut down a lot of things. But that's just on my wish list. I also wish that the Bears had a 2018 Akeem Hicks, a Kenny Clark, and Aaron Donald, that they had Khalil Mack 6 years younger, that they had a second safety next to Eddie Jackson, and oh, by the way, 3 wide receiver ones. So the wish list is long. How high is that CB1 on the wish list? You get the idea. I mean, exactly like you're saying, Mike, I would tell you that they have a legit QB1 just off of basic, like, youngness. But there are a lot of those questions. They've got Quinn. Quinn's a legitimate edge one, but you get the idea. Like, there's a lot of this. So a lot of people asked at one point, they wondered, what in the world did, let me see, like, they said, what in the world did the Packers do to get rid of Davante Adams? And it was stuff like this, which I cannot believe I found on the first try, right? So the whole game, right, that, yeah, MLB1, 100%. I think we have a clear RB1 too. Yeah, absolutely. Like, there are plenty of other positions. I wasn't thinking too hard. It's past midnight. But so people were wondering why why Jalen Johnson didn't stick with Davante Adams. Check out this adjustment by the Packers. So if you take a look at what they're going to run a massive pick play. It's just it's just Devontae Adams coming down the line and getting into the flat, and look at all the traffic they throw Jalen Johnson's way. So keep an eye on this, right? So as they go back to do the run fake right here, you're going to see this receiver dig as deep as he can get right there. Literally, his one job is to just get in Jalen's way. Like, that's his only goal. So that because you lined them up next to each other, now you've got Devontae Adams running in wide open space. Oh boy, like, not good, you know? And so he gets the ball out. Obviously, he picks up a relatively free and easy first down. But the Packers came out at halftime with stuff like this. They said, you're going to lock our guy off? We'll make it hard. And so because the Bears weren't switching at that point, like, you can see Artie Burns following his guy over there, makes things really easy, which is part of why they had to start deploying Eddie Jackson in that, like, man coverage role, because they wanted to keep Jalen locked on the end. That's how a lot of these cover 2 defenses work, but it just, oof. Like, the Packers punish where it hurts. They make easy stuff look easy, and hard things, honestly, look pretty easy. Like, quick motion over there tells you that Jalen's now following that guy, and then look at the blocking, look at the running. It hurts mostly because, as a Bears fan, the Packers run offense in a way that I feel like would jive really well in Chicago. Like, they're very hard-nosed for as green and yellow as they are. And Quadzilla is a great example of that. He runs tough, man. And that kind of thing helps, because when you're able to batter the opposing defense with your running back all game long, oh, man. I don't know. It's just wild because they basically set up every single play like they could hit you with a run. That's their whole goal. You've probably seen this kind of formation, whether it's 11 personnel or an extra wide receiver on the end. Like, you've seen them set up in these wide, we're going to run it sets with one back in the backfield on almost every single play, which helps because, I hear you, Johnny. That's just my alma mater's colors, and I'll keep it for Baylor. But so, yellow obviously doesn't sound as good. So then they run like a basic quick out with one guy out here. It's just a screen to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And look at how easy that is. Like, because of how just nails their running game is, and because of how easily they could hurt you just about anywhere on the field, even when, no, Atheist. That'd be neat. But they don't even have Devontae Adams on the field right now. And they're just going to get free yardage. Like, free yardage. I got you, BB Cheeks. I got you. But so they're just marching down the field. They're making it look so easy. Like, that's pretty good, Johnny. But so, yeah, I mean, as you watch this defense, I feel bad for the Bears in this setting because the Bears are massively underfanged. Like, if the Bears defense was a bear, it is a bear without any teeth, right? It is a bear with clipped claws, because you watch what's going on here. And I mean, Roquan Smith is not the world's biggest linebacker. He is not going to be your stick backer that just comes up and just destroys somebody. He does better than he should. I would tell you he hits above his weight, but in a setting like this, like, okay, so here's the magic, right? Roquan has to defend basically too much. Like, let me see if I can't stop this at what matters. So, as these guys come down, Roquan's only option is to watch where Dylan's going and assume that Ogletree is going to get out onto the edge, right? Because they've got to trust each other. They've got to fit the gap where the gaps are. So Dylan sees this, and he's pretty much able to say, Roquan's there, I am going there. Especially since they're pulling basically everybody on their team into a trap block situation. So they sucker Roquan downhill. They get Ogletree, who's running kind of to space. Like, he just runs to freaking nowhere. Holy moly. Like, I don't know what he thought he was doing. And Jackson has to make the tackle at the goal line. Like, it's neat. Don't get me wrong, Atheist. It's pretty basic trap, all things told. Just everything coming down there. But Ogletree, so, like, I don't know what he's looking for. Like, I hate to be the guy who's like, what you doing? Maybe he literally thought this was the running back, for all I know. But whoa, because he runs right there. I wonder if he was setting up for a tackle because he just glides right on past the play. Like, if we had more, or if I wasn't so analytically driven, right? I feel like I'd have more fans in the comments that would be like, you got to cut him after that. Like, it's rough. And even worse is to think that you can't because Trevathan, like, is apparently not better, which is wild. And so, yeah, that's oof. I mean, Danny Trev isn't Danny Trev anymore. That's what's sad about it. So now the Packers, like at this point, are just they're at the 5 because they've made it look that easy. And yeah, I mean, I'm there with you, Atheist. That's what he was trying to do. I'm just shocked that he missed it so badly. But so let me see here. Like, we're just sight reading a lot of this stuff. Honestly, I actually haven't watched pieces of this. Looks like, okay, when Bears fans come after Eddie Jackson, this is the versatility you are looking for in a safety. Like, not to be all, what is it? It looks like that's what it looked like in Madden, right? Actually, it looked more like, because it's a slightly smaller circle. Not to be all star player here, but when your safety is sticking his nose in the run game like this and willing to take on 2 blockers to make a tackle at the goal line, you're happy with it, you know? Like, I don't want to proclaim him too much. Oh gosh, Case, really? Is it in Madden 22? I'm waiting for the updates because I played it day 1 and it was so bad that we'll save some of that for the off season. But so, oh Lord. Then you watch stuff like this. Oof. I mean, yeah, I'm with you, G. Because then they line up wide. Jackson gets blocked after all that. Quinn can't work off of a tight end, which is sad. And he just gets on in. Yikes. But so, the Packers just made everything look easy. And the Bears special teams did the darndest, you know? Like, we can talk about, I know people wanted to see special teams things. They're real pick-me-ups. That's 100% on the DL, Atheist. Like, we're turning the analysis ever so slightly off, just like a little bit. But so, let me see. Like, on the first play of the game, like, the first punt of the game, Jakeem catches it and is able to turn a ball that lands at the 20 into a punt return all the way to the 45. Like, Jakeem's electric, honestly. And it's hard for me to find negative things to say about him other than he's small and that. What is the other thing I'm even thinking of? Oh, he's small, and apparently he struggles with understanding offensive roles because his route tree is not super big. But, man, the Packers guys are. It really bums me out. I feel like you watch this Bears offense, you compare it to what we just saw with the Packers, and it's always wild to me how much more stale it looks and how much harder they seem to make it, you know? But, I mean, yeah, Mike, the Packers had some massive special teams gaffes as you walked through this game. We don't need to watch any more Bears offense. We did that for 3 hours. Like, we did that for literally 3 hours. Let's see. Because this was one where... Was this where the Packers guy, like, touched it out of bounds? Was this one? Did this happen later in the game? This was one of the weirdest ones. I mean, I know the Packers where they would normally just, like, touch the... Yeah, that's... What in the world is this? Like, what is he doing? I mean, what is this? I'm willing to be pro Packers. Obviously, we've done a lot of complimenting them. What in the world is 86 doing? Like, touching this ball and then immediately letting it whip on out of bounds. Like, why? I mean, I'm with you, Atheist. Like, look at this. This is some incredible goalkeeping, right? It's like, it is as if 86 identified this ball and said, oh no, we can't let that go out of bounds. That'd make things too easy. And just tipped it out and said, frick yeah, did it. Nailed it. There we go. Like, we take a look at the wide angle, and he is late to get there. which of course is why he thinks to himself right on the sidelines, I should reach for it. What in the world is this? Like, point Santos, I guess. Credit to you, Cairo. Here's looking at you, kid, because that doesn't make any sense. But so, yeah, I mean, it's wild just watching the difference. Part of it's offensive line, part of it's players that are able to make plays in all sorts of situations. Like Eddie Dunks, this guy right there. But you watch the way that Aaron Jones runs the ball, and he just zips on out. Nobody can catch him. Artie Burns didn't hold his gap. It's up to Jackson, and it's 10 yards. Like, immediately out of a problematic situation. Oh, there's a real winner on this drive that I forgot about. So, first we have to talk about Roquan. Roquan's unbelievable. Like, I want to just take a look at this real fast. Like, watch 58. Watch this. This is so good. Watch the way 58 moves. Like, we're talking about an inside run play that's a stuff because a linebacker moves like no one should be allowed to. As the block comes in for him, he sheds it, gets outside, beats the running back outside, moves back inside to force or to get it or to basically just hold up his teammates and help them get to the ball. Again, take a look at this. He fits the gap this way, breaks back the other way, fits the gap, turns him in, and forces a stuff for a gain of 0. Like, this is unreal. Linebackers shouldn't be able to move like this, especially not at Roquan's size, but he does, because that's just who he is. He's a little different. And so, immediately after that, the Bears collect a huge second play. Like, take a look at this with, what is it? I think it's Quinn ripping through, Gumbying down, another sack. Like, and yeah, you're totally right there, Case. I mean, he's become an anti-run linebacker, and he's good. But so, at this point, Quinn just rips around the edge, makes a play, pulls Rodgers down, 14 on the year. Like, dude's playing great ball. So, of course, they had a run fit, right, for 0. They had a sack. So it's 3rd and 18. And what do we think is going to happen, right? Yeah, no, I'm with you there, Derek. Like, last year, I was way too scared to put Roquan in that, like, Chicago Bears linebacker position. He's getting there. But so, here we go with a 3rd and 18. And the Packers just slip Alan Lazard right past Jalen Johnson's, or not Jalen. I think it's Artie Burns or something. I don't know. Maybe it's Xavier Crawford. I don't really care. But, like, take a look at this throw. What? I mean, there's a point where you're just like, Aaron, stop. Now, Mike, what I understand Eddie to be looking at is the middle of the field. DHC seems confused. I would also guess that Burns has to bail out, that Bush is going to sit underneath, and that you're basically trying to get everybody into the corners. What Eddie's thinking about is Lazard's crosser, to just be very specific. He's trying to make sure that he carries the vert should it come, while also keeping an eye, I would guess, on everything going on over here. But this is bananas. Like, he turns around Eddie because he's playing that center field role, and that's what he's supposed to be doing. But Lazard cuts it across, which is where he's supposed to be, because these two aren't supposed to be this close together. And it's just an unbelievable throw. Like, right over the top of the defense, 25-yard gain on 3rd and 20, or whatever it was. I mean, this would be bone-shattering if we were to put it into words. Also, no pressure got home, so this is against cover 8. But I mean, it's nuts. Oh, Mike, I didn't look. Let's see. So they come down. I want to watch the bench. I think that's awesome. I hadn't thought about that. I should look at the bench more. But so he lets it go. They thought interception. You could see them all. Oh. I mean, I'd have been mad too. Gracious. Vildor's like, I'm getting that, you dingus. But yeah. Packers played a great game. They really did. Bears played pretty well. Bears basically caught all their breaks, you know? Like, they got everything that they could have possibly wanted out of that first half. And as Nagy said, to doom the Bears, he was just having so much fun. And then he was not. Then he lost. His team scored 3 points in the second half, gave up a bunch. Like, the Bears played a really good second quarter Case, and honestly, I'd say that they played a pretty good first quarter. Exactly, Derek. The Packers showed that apparently you can win with just offense and defense, and truly bad special teams. But I mean, yeah, exactly, Atheist. To me, this was the kind of game that makes you say the Bears just got outclassed, right? Like, on all levels of the field, their defense got smoked, their offense got smoked, and if you're really patting your back for winning the special teams battle after losing 15, sucks. Like, that's not good. But anyways, it's 12:30. We all got work in the morning, probably, or school, whatever you guys do. 89 of you crazies stayed to watch this far. You guys are incredible. If you want to support me, that always helps, whether it's becoming a channel member, which is rad, or donating directly. Know that anything helps, always helps me create more content and know that I'm moving in the right direction. Like the video if you don't got no money, which is allowed. Like, I completely understand. Last thing I'm going to do is be that person that just, like, begs. Just know it helps, especially if there's a opportunity to go full-time eventually. But it's just a matter of, yeah, you get the idea. Like, you guys are great. Love doing stuff like this. Can't wait for next week. Bears now enter a stretch where they play the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Giants, and then the Vikings again. And all four of these, assuming Larry Borom plays, are games where we could see Fields play a lot better. It's kind of like the Pittsburgh and the Baltimore games. They don't pressure the passer super well. And so, theoretically, Fields should have a better time staying upright, which would matter. So, we'll see. Like, it would be awfully nice if Fields could have some nice games here. But that's just to make us feel better, to go into the offseason on the right note. Let me know stuff, whether it's in the comments or in the stream chat, that you want me to break down. We could break down all sorts of things, both Bears and other teams. But just, yeah, let me know. Have a great rest of your evening. Talk to y'all later. Bear down.